Ah, 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 ah. Hello, hello. Okay. Hello. We're back. Hello, hello, Sai. Hello. Welcome. We're gonna do it. We're gonna complete step 2 today, and then after that we're gonna go on to step. Is my mic too loud? It's kind of peaking a bit. Wait, give me a moment. Okay, it should be fine now. My mic was kind of peaking a bit. I think it's okay. Just let me know if it's like the same problem again. Hello, mildly whelmed. Hello, welcome. You're in for a treat today. We're playing an otome game. I'm not sure whether you were here for the previous ones, but this is an otome game, and it's super like interactive and stuff. Like, it's a game where you make your choices. Like, you can customize like how you are in the game. You can customize like who you are and like your personality traits and like your appearance and stuff like that. And there's just a lot of options that you can choose and customize how you how you exist in this world, and all the characters will kind of like change based on how you choose to portray yourself. And it's like super like customizable and interactive. So like if you're interested, it's free, by the way. It's free on Steam, so if you're interested in it, you should really check it out too. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, let's get started. So we have finished. We stopped at 7. Yeah, over here. So we finished the first 2. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on to the 3, and then we're gonna end the summer, and we're finally gonna see Holden grow up. Yes, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so we're going to family now. Okay, the sun warmed your skin from its place in the sky, and you closed your eyes, enjoying the mix of heat with the pleasant breeze that drifted past you. Tree Monks Room, Ohayo, Ohayo, Konnichiwa, hello. Oh my god, you guys are in for a treat. I'm playing an otome game. Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it. It's a nice otome game. We're kind of halfway in there, but it'll still be really nice. So yeah, sit back and enjoy your stay, y'all. You and Lee, so Lee's our cousin, by the way, for those who don't know. You and Lee had spread out a blanket on top of one of the hills behind your house and had been relaxing there for a while now. That 3-tone ocean, yes, the art's pretty crisp. Lee had come over earlier in the day, and while a range of activities had been discussed, from staying home to heading down to the beach, a picnic on the hill had been the choice you both settled on. A small spread was laid out in front of you, some bottled water, soft drinks, as well as chips and sliced fruit. You sat up and reached for a snack, listening to Lee talk away about the musical she had forgotten to see a few days ago. So that's our cousin. Oh my gosh, she glowed up. Sheesh. It was unbelievable. There was singing and dancing and crazy stunts, and it was all done live right in front of my face. Maybe one day we could go together. I've gotta see more shows like that. You smiled at Lee's enthusiasm, knowing how much she enjoyed singing and performing. Oh my god, she's a theater kid. And she was good at it too. You had gotten the chance to hear her sing a couple of tunes, and you knew she put a lot of effort into it. Sheesh, she's a theater kid. Oh, See, and then they give you a lot of options and you can choose, and based on what you choose, it's like a custom story that only you can play. Kind of like that. It's really cool. Check it out, guys. I also like to sing, but I wasn't very good at it. Like to sing had a talent of your own. You didn't like to sing, but you told me be good. Okay, I like to sing, but I'm not very good at it. And then, so that didn't stop you from doing it though. I wonder if maybe we could put on our own show. Think of how fun it'd be. We could perform for our parents and ask our friends and some other people to come and watch too. It'll totally work. It'd be embarrassing. For me, I don't know. I don't like performing in front of people, so for me it'd probably be embarrassing. You hadn't performed in front of an audience in your life, and you didn't want to start now.
Are you sure?
Are you super sure? You have so many skills you could show off to the masses. So okay, well in step 2 right now, which is we are 13 years old. So well, we like grow with the characters. So we started off while being 8 years old, so now we're at 13 years old. That's step 2. Stage fright is scar. Stage fright is scar. I remember being forced to perform so many things before. Yeah, it was terrifying. I hated it a lot. I really don't want to. I'm sorry. I'm not a theater kid. What was I doing when I was 13? Do what though? I really don't want to. I'd rather do something else. Being child. Yeah, we're child right now. Like I have to think very hard about this because like everything you choose really affects the story. And I mean, just try to be as authentic as possible. Oh, see, okay, the thing is, right, like, this is just more, like, Sanshroomy fun fact, but when I was 13, like, I was in percussion, so, so I could only do percussion, so I'm not really sure about that. Are you super sure you have so many skills you can show off to the masses? Okay, like, let's just YOLO and say I'll do it, and let's just see what happens. Because probably she's gonna sing anyways. Okay, let's YOLO. Wait, I'll save, oh my god. See, this is why they give you like 20 plus save slots. Okay, we'll save there just in case. Okay, yeah, you could see that Lee was really excited about the idea, so with a small nod of your head, you agreed to go along with it. Okay, fair enough. Oh, jeepers, she screamed. I'm gonna sing. Do you want a 2 or maybe do something else? Okay, oh, so it's either I'll sing too, I'll dance, I'll write the song, I'll do some kind of stunt, I'll pick the outfits, I'll do the I'll do the makeup, I'll make a backdrop of some kind. Yeah, I'll make the props. Like you go off, sis. I'll just yes, that'll make a real show. Yeah, I'm just the carpenter. Let's go. Yeah, I'll draw something. I vaguely remember doing that when I was 13. Like, I don't know, drawing and making props and all that. Yeah. So this is Lee's route. Tree Monk, did you hear what I said? She's our cousin. Tree Monk, she's our cousin. Oh, thank you for the redeem. Was my throat very scratchy? Maybe you could hear it. Thank you. I'll take a swig of water. Oh shit, haha, whoops. The Alabama route. The home sweet Alabama route. Okay, no. We're doing the Cove Holden route. Wincest. JK, no please. Exactly. Sheesh. I'm gonna spray holy water at you. Like, the route we're going for is called Cove Holden. He's the you see him later. Like, It is based on a DLC. I think there are like 3 love interests, but since we're playing the free one, we're with this guy called Cove Holden. So there are routes, right? But it's completely up to you. If you're comfortable with going for the romantic route, you can, or you can just be friends like forever, and just complete the story. Like, it's equally nice. It just depends on what you want to do with the characters. Hey, keeping 100% of the bloodline. Man, the more if one day I see you again, I'll spray you. I'll spray you with a bottle of holy water. You had an art kit at home full of colored pencils and markers that you could use to create a piece for the show. You just hope that be a large enough piece of paper or cardboard for a backdrop. That's right. I'll just do the stage. Is there anything that's coming to your head? No, my head empty. One more thing. What's one more thing? Oh, I'll do the makeup. Okay. I'll do the makeup. Haha, no, please, I'll evaporate. That means you're the spawn of the devil if you evaporate. I'll do the makeup. Like, okay, see, the thing is, right, Sanshroomy at 13 years old, like, I was in performing arts. So, like, I was like a band kid kind of thing. So we had to do like makeup and stuff like that. And I used to help my friend draw eyeliner, and it was like really funny. So I'll do the makeup. Good idea. You'll be great at it. At that. I'm not good at like makeup as in like choosing colors and all that, but because I draw I can do eyeliner because you know, maybe it's an art kid thing. Like, if you can draw straight lines when lining your artwork, you can draw eyeliner. I think that's all. Ever pranked someone? No, of course not. Like, my friend would spray me with deodorant, like, if I did that. No, that's all. Like, the friend I drew eyeliner on, like, she had a spray bottle of deodorant, so if I did anything, she would probably killed me like a cockroach. Don't do that. Don't prank someone with eyeliner, that's nasty. The two of you ran back to your house to grab the supplies you needed, dodging your mom's amused questions before heading back out to the blanket to get started. Okay, you set your makeup kit down. I did have a makeup kit, but that was purely because we needed makeup for our performing arts. I didn't wear makeup at 13. I mean, I don't even wear makeup now, but like, it was a performing arts kit thing. Scanning the various products and envisioning how you wanted the design to look for the show. Okay, Lee and you discussed the plans in detail, settling on a song. Sorry, I almost burped. And then practicing out parts for the show. Oh wow, okay. The afternoon passed quickly, the sun dropping lower and lower in the sky, and after having thoroughly worked out how the show was going to go, you decided to take a break.
Oh.
Oh yeah, okay, see. Oh, you know, we should have invited Cove to watch us practice our show. He could tell us if it's bad before we put on the real thing. Yeah, so this is Cove. I think you guys will see him soon. You guessed that would have been okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm not performing, so it's just a one-man show and I'm just like the stagehand. So yeah, I guess it's okay. Yeah. It might have been nice for Cove to be there, but you felt weird when thinking about him watching the show. Exactly. So you just choose options that cater to who you are. Or you could like make up an entirely different persona, depending. First name Cole, last name Slaw. Excuse me. Oh, Cove. Yeah, I used to call him Cole a lot, but after that I realized his name was Cove, so I was like, oh, it's Cove. His name is Cove Holden. Sheesh. We could ask him to watch us another time. Maybe. Yeah, my name is Sam because there's no option for San, because Sanshroomy. So that's why if you look at the top right over there, I plastered A and M over my logo. So now I'm Sanshroomy. It's too bad Derek isn't in the neighborhood today. I like him. Oh, sheesh. Okay. Oh, Derek, suddenly, there is another guy. I'm not sure whether you guys will see him like today. Probably, I'm not sure. I like him. Oh, like in that way, I like Derek because he's cute. Like I don't see him in that way, but he's a cute fella. Depending on the, yeah, he's a good person. Yeah, okay, I'll honestly say that he's a, I knew you'd think so. So exactly how much do you like him? Or maybe there's someone else that I haven't heard of yet. Is Lee your rival trying to steal your man? No, because see, the thing is, like, Derek is actually a possible love interest, but you have to buy the DLC to pursue him. So you are just going for Cove. Like, Cove is the only option. So you can choose to romance him if you want, or you could just live your life just being good friends. So it depends, you know, like for people who are like, you know, asexual or aromantic and they just don't want to date someone, like there's an option for that too. Who needs Derek? Okay, Derek kinda grows up and looks a bit off. He personally he looks a bit off when he grows up to me. You guys will see him like grown up later on. But yeah. Who needs Derek? Oh, I'm super invested in Cove right now. So Cove is the only man's for him. Cove is the Cove is the only man's for me right now. Me. Lee wriggled her eyebrows at you suggestively, and you knew exactly what she was implying. I can't answer that. Yeah, I refuse to. Lee. Yeah, I can't answer that. I'm not going to. I'm not gonna say anything. Lee's eyes sparkled in an instant, like she just hit the jackpot.
What?
What? Who is it? Oh my god, Lee. I'm gonna push you down the hill. I'm not giving you a name. That's right, I'm not giving you a name. Oh, jeebus, Bryce. Mr. Holden's an option. That's Cole's dad. Oh god. No. No. Hey yo. Nah, that's cursed. No. Why is Cole's dad an option? Nah, we ain't about to go that route. Yo, that's illegal. I'm not giving you a name. Tell me something else about them then. Oh my gosh, Lee, she's sipping info. She is. This news was just too exciting. She wasn't going to be deterred. You weren't surprised when Lee started squeezing you for more details and you answered as much as you were comfortable with. The two of you talked about your preferences in who you liked and stuff. You found that it was nice having someone to speak with about these sorts of things. At 13, I wasn't really speaking about those kind of things. Like at the ripe age of 13, I was just struggling with math. I had no time to think about no man. Finally, you both decided to pack up everything and head back home for the evening. Lee talked excitedly about the show as you did, and you thought back on what you had already accomplished for it. You could definitely do with a little more practice, but what you had so far was a solid foundation for the performance. Oh, okay, yeah. For introduction to like the people who are new, so the left and the right side is our moms. Apparently we're adopted. Like I had to wiki this, like I had to Google this, but apparently we're adopted. So we have two moms and like this is our adoptive sister. Yeah. Hey, math is hard. Oh look, it's a math kid in the chat. Ew. I think I was an English kid. I wasn't the best at English, but like English was like I was better in languages. Yeah. 13, I was playing with Yu-Gi-Oh cards and playing Final Fantasy X. That's right, I was playing Pokemon and crying. I was playing Pokemon and crying over math. Oh, and Animal Crossing too, yeah. Like the, what's that? The 3DS days. Those were the days, man. Upon walking through the front door, you were met by your moms and Elizabeth hovering around each other in the living room. Oh, something bad's happening? Tension hung thick in the air as the three of them turned to you and Lee, frowning slightly. You had interrupted something. Exactly what? You weren't sure. You weren't sure. I'll just be like, hello. Is everything okay?
Oh.
Oh. Hi, Sam. Hello, Lee. Welcome back. The room fell quiet again, with no one quite knowing what to say. You felt incredibly awkward, but the silence didn't last long. Oh no, what's happening? What did we walk into? You don't have to stop just cause those two are here. There's no reason to try keeping it a secret. Elizabeth was mad. Oh no, what happened? With her arms folded defensively over her chest, but your mom's nodded in agreement with her.
Well...
Elizabeth was asking about her parents. Her biological ones. Oh, she's adopted too? Wait, did I accidentally spoil y'all without... No, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that it was gonna be revealed. I thought I had to Google that. Okay, well, never mind. Just wipe whatever I said just now. Oh my god, oh, something's happening. What's happening? I don't know what's happening. Biological parents, what's happening? Oh my god, the world spun around you at the news. Yeah, you couldn't understand. Oh my god, like, what did I say just now? Who knows? Yeah, why was this happening now? Yeah, oh my god, what's happening? Oh, what's that? When you glanced at Lee, she shuffled her feet uncomfortably as though she didn't know if she should be there or not anymore. You didn't know either. After what you just said. Yeah, no, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything just now. Like, you just imagined it. Yo, they went on a shopping spree. That's right. They were shopping. What's happening? Oh my god, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know either. Oh yeah, oh, your moms had always been open and honest about the fact that neither of them had given birth to you or your sister. Okay, but the details hadn't been fully explained. Oh. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, no, it's safe. I didn't spoil anything, okay, because they were open and honest that neither of them had given to... Okay, yeah, it's okay. I didn't spoil anything. Okay. Okay, we're all good now. The false alarm. It made sense that Elizabeth didn't know a lot about her biological parents and wanted to know more. You just hadn't ever thought you'd accidentally stumble into it. What an interesting thing for us to find out for the first time now. Exactly. What an interesting... Like, for the first time, you know, like... I'm pretty sure the streamer was saying something about it, but you know, like, nah, she was just mumbling. Oh my god, the game's telling us that we're adopted now. Oh, and they want to know about our biological parents. Okay, let's see what happened to our biological parents. Elizabeth looked at your parents expectantly. She wasn't going to let the unintentional interruption derail things. Okay, we don't want to keep that information from either of you. It's your right to know your past, but we did want to wait until you asked us to hear yourselves. Okay, let's learn about our biological parents. Well, it's happening now, so... Okay, your mom shared a nervous glance, and Ma... Okay, so Ma is the left one, and Mom is the right one. So we call the left lady Ma, and we call the right lady Mom. Okay. We have my mom, exactly. Like, these are my moms, my mom. Then they're like, yeah, your mom. Yes, my mom. Oh, Elizabeth is from the Philippines. Oh wow, we have geographical context in this. Okay, cool. I adopted you from the Philippines when you were just a baby. Elizabeth dropped her arms, her eyebrows shooting upwards in surprise. Why is she so surprised? I mean, she knew she was adopted, right? Wait, I wasn't born here?
No.
La mom. No, you weren't. Oh, she wasn't. Okay. Oh, why is she so surprised that she wasn't born here? Okay, I don't know. I don't know what she's thinking, so... I don't want to judge. You could clearly see that your sister was appalled by this information. You struggled even more with what to do or how to react. Oh, jeez. Am I going to have to pass some test? to even be a citizen. I think we are in the US, if I'm not wrong.
No.
No, you were adopted into the country. We took care of things. You're already a citizen. You have nothing to worry about. Oh, okay, yeah. So right now we're in the US. Okay, I follow all the laws when it came to bringing a child into the US. Nothing can be held against you. Okay. Okay, Elizabeth sighed, placated with the information, but still far from happy. Who are my parents as people? Why did they put me up for adoption in the first place? Ma softly put her hands over Elizabeth's shoulder while trying to provide some support before she gave the answer.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, sweetie. Your parents were reported to have died. They didn't go into details on the specifics of how, but you were an orphan. I wish we had better news for you, Elizabeth. Oh, that's a bombshell of a way to drop that info. It is. Like, I was just having fun talking about how I was a performing arts kid and I was in percussion, and they were like, oh my god, we're gonna do her makeup, and then suddenly, boom, your parents are dead. I'm just like, oh, okay. Sheesh. Elizabeth was torn between emotions, her eyes filled with tears as she threw her hands in the air, settling on enraged. Great, so I can never meet them even if I wanted to. Not that I could have, anyway, since they lived in another part of the world when they were still alive. Elizabeth turned her back on you and your moms and stormed off, sprinting up the stairs and to her room before anyone could stop her. Well, you don't see that happening very often. I am this close to beating you up, Tree Monk. I am this close to beating you up. I have to go and talk to her. Right in front of our salad. Right in front of our salad. Ma immediately started to follow her, but Mom gently held her by the arm and shook her head. We should give her a little space to process it all. Your ma's head hung low, but she stopped walking. Imagine Lee and how Lee is feeling in this situation. Like, how awkward must she feel right now? Exactly. With Elizabeth now gone, the two of them seemed to remember you and Lee were still standing awkwardly off to the side. I'm so sorry you had to see all that. It's not how I expected it would have happened when the time came. But since it's the topic of the day, Sam, is there anything you'd like to ask? Oh, jeez. You deserve to know after all. Lee patted your back and gave you a supportive look. Okay, to be fair, okay, like, honestly, for these kinds of situations, I am pretty calm, and I'm not someone who would react like how Elizabeth did. Like, it's not her fault that she's reacting like that, but like, very realistically, I am not the kind of person that would get too emotional with these kinds of things. So I would probably say I want to know, like, what's happening. Okay, your parents both nodded in sync to your reply, ready to talk. I can leave if you want to have things be private. I want you to be here. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, like, I'm very open about these kinds of things. Like, I'm not adopted, but like, you know, even if I was, I'm pretty open. I think, like, you know, it's fine. I mean, you have to know sooner or later. Wow, Lolly was just standing. Yeah, she was just standing there the whole time. Like how in the last episode, like, I was just standing there with Cove and his mom. Yeah, she was just standing there the whole time. I feel bad for her, but I can do that. Okay, yeah, just stay. I mean, It's nothing too important. She just truly there eating her salad and they revealed that, yeah, we just came in happy after planning our performance, and then we opened the door. And then they were like, your parents died. And then we're just like, oh, that's the situation right now. Lee shifted a little closer to you in support, and you were glad to have her there with you. It made you feel a little stronger somehow. Okay. You turned to face your parents again, preparing yourself for what they were about to tell you. Ma was the first to speak, her voice quivering with emotion. Okay, you were adopted as a baby, but 2 years after Elizabeth. Okay, we used a different organization that time, and you were adopted within the US. Oh, okay. I'm not from the US. Okay, but never mind. It's okay. It's just a game. Oh, but sorry to tell you, Sam, your parents had also passed away, and no other family member took you in if there were any. Oh, okay, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. That's why we wanted to wait until you asked. We didn't want to suddenly drop that in your lap. We wanted you to be prepared.
I'm sorry.
We're sorry, Sam. No, it's fine. I'm cool with it. Lee gave you a reassuring squeeze on the arm to show she was there for you. Thank you for telling. Yeah. What kind of response is that? Trying to be a clown? Thank you for telling me. Yeah, I mean, okay. It's fine. Thank you for telling me. I did want to know, and now I do. Thank you for listening, Sam. Yeah, no problem. It's fine. I'm cool. I'm cool with these kind of things. If there's anything else you want to know, all you have to do is ask. We'll do our best to answer any questions you have.
Are you okay?
How are you feeling now? Are you gonna be okay? Yeah. Lee watched you closely as though judging how exactly she should react to what was going on. I feel the worst for like Lee, because this is happening right in front of her salad, and she just came over to play. I'm none of these things. I genuinely feel fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I feel fine. It's not that I didn't mean it. I actually feel fine. It's fine. Yeah, you spoke with a refreshed tone, as though you had a load off. Your mom smiled sadly, but you knew they believed you. Yeah, it's fine. It's really fine. No one seemed to have any words after that. And on to the commercial break. Oh, I wanted to see Elizabeth. Yeah, I will probably check on my sister to see whether it's okay or not. Whether she's okay or not, because clearly she took it more to heart than me. So yeah. You were worried about Elizabeth, even though she had been so angry when talking to your moms about everything. You could see she was clearly sad. Let's check on her. You headed over to the stairs and up to her room. I would leave Lee there in the living room. I mean, I feel bad for leaving her with my mom, but I think Elizabeth wouldn't really want her to be there, so I'll leave her in the living room. Yeah. It would be best to speak to Elizabeth alone. There was more chance of her opening up to you that way. That's right. Damage control time. Waiting in front of your sister's door, you raised a hand to knock on it. There was no answer for a good minute or two, and when you jiggled the handle, you found it was locked. Raising your hand again, you knocked louder this time, thinking she must have her headphones on so she couldn't hear you. When she didn't answer the door a second time, it was clear to you that she either still couldn't hear or was just straight up ignoring you. It hurt to be shut out, especially right now. I think I'll just go up to my room. Or get out of the house. Get out of the house. Okay, let me imagine what kind of situation are we in. Gotta like project myself into this game. Would I go up? Or would I get out? okay, if it's a high tension situation and I had an option to get out, I'll probably go out and take a walk. Yeah, like in this situation. Okay, let's go out. My mom, not mom, starts crying. My mom, not mom. But now you got two moms, you know, instead of one mom. So like, that's a win-win. I'm gonna go out just for a little while. I'll be back before it's really late. Your mom's nodded in understanding, trusting you to make the best call for yourself. Okay, you see? Because we live in a landed property in the game, right? But like IRL, I I live high up in the sky. So if I lived in a landed property, I would probably like walk more often, but since I live like a monkey in a tree, like high up, I'm just lazy to go down, if you get my drift. I just don't want to go down. So, but if I had the option to, if I live in a landed property, I would probably go and take walks more often. So I'm just gonna walk. Yeah. And also, it seems pretty tense in the house, so probably me getting out of the house is a better thing. Without knowing where you really wanted to go, you began to walk down the street quietly, dragging your feet. Oh yeah. Okay, and you turned and kept walking, unsure of what else to do. Everyone else had been so upset. That's right. And you didn't have the first idea on how you could help. Oh yeah, okay, we're always at the beach in this game. Wait. Eventually, you found yourself at the beach, your feet sinking into the soft sand while you looked out over the ocean. You took off your shoes and paced the sand over to the water's edge, letting the cool ocean swirl around your bare feet. It was comforting being there, with the ocean breeze rustling your black hair. Yeah, my black hair. And the smell of salty water filling your nostrils. Eventually, you took a seat on the ground, watching the sun as it dipped down further and further towards the horizon before it disappeared completely. The sky shifted from blue to pink to orange and then the deep blue of the night. Okay, a sudden shout drew your attention away from the sea. Someone was calling your name. Guys, Cove is here. Cove is here. You guys will finally see Cove. Cove is here. Your head snapped to the source of the yells. At the edge of the beach where grass met the sand was a silhouette in the darkness, but the person was still unmistakable to you. It was Cove. Cove down by the cove. Boy, you really full of puns today, huh, boy? What was he doing there? Oh, here, sorry. There, here. Oh, okay. His eyes settled on you ahead, realizing you were in fact there. He rushed down the shore to where you sat. Oh my god, here! Look at the boy! Look at that boy! Oh lord, he coming! Whoa! He looked like seaweed. Yo, he green. Yeah, his hair is so green. Is that Xiao? Sheesh! This is Xiao if like he used too much of his adapter's powers and his entire head just starts glowing green. You could tell he was out of breath when he approached. You rose to meet him. Cove, did something happen? No, not to me anyway. I wanted to know what happened to you. He has wavy eyebrows. He has wiggly eyebrows. I went to your house to say hi, but your parents said you were gone, that you needed to get away. They said that to him. I wasn't getting away. I was just taking a walk. Bruh.
What's wrong?
What's wrong? I mean, I had to think something was going on after something like that, so I came to find you. There's a lot going on right now. Cove looked at you in confusion, his eyebrows dipping. There's a lot going on right now. Not with me, but like the people in the house. What is it? My parents from before my mom's died when I was a baby. Moms didn't say how. Maybe they don't know, but there wasn't any other family I could live with, so that's why I got adopted. Without having to say anything else, Cove reached out and pulled you into a tight embrace, his familiar warmth enveloping you. Sheesh! Sheesh! I'm sorry, Sam. No problem. It's fine. It's all good. My parents are dead. Cove terrified after seeing ghost moms. He's just like, what's wrong? And then I'm just like, my parents are dead. And then he's just like, the same reaction me and Lee had when we first heard that Elizabeth's parents are dead. His words were whispered comfortingly into your shoulder. I don't think I'll cry though. Like, I don't know. I'm actually fine with it, so I'm okay. Like, I'll just be like, I'm okay. ... Yeah, this is probably the option. I'm glad you are. I don't know. I don't usually cry in these kind of situations. I mean, I cried when Tepe, like, you know, when Tepe, like, you know, but like other than that, still he didn't let go. Sheesh. Can you explain everything to me? Yeah, let's go. Uh-huh. Launching into, you nodded softly before taking in a heavy breath and launching into the story. Cove sat quietly and listened attentively, nodding every now and then or taking in a sharp inhale. It took a long time for you to relay the details. Dozens of stars were pinpointed in the sky as the night wore on. Silence settled between you as Cove sat quietly for a moment, contemplating everything you had said. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, drifting through the night towards you.
Sam.
Why does he sound like that? It's so nasty. Why does he sound like that? He's like, Sam. Why do you sound like that, boy?
I'm so sorry.
His voice so nasal. It's funny. Sorry, I gotta get into the mood. This is a sad story. Voice crack though. Yeah, it's so funny. He's like, Sam. Lamau. Okay, serious mode. I'm really sorry about what happened to your parents. So sorry. He stopped suddenly and took in a deep, shaky breath, and you got the impression he was struggling with what was right to say. You don't have to say anything, honestly. It's fine. It's fine. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Exactly. Okay. This summarizes the exact emotions that I have. Like this statement summarizes what the exact emotions that I'm feeling right now. I feel bad that I don't feel worse about it. Like I feel like I should be more upset, like Elizabeth, but I feel bad that I can't feel that way, and I feel like I'm supposed to, but I'm not. Okay, wow, change this game. Okay, yes. Exactly, I never knew them at all. They're strangers, even if they did have me. I feel like that's a problem for a lot of people who are adopted. I'm not adopted, but like, just to reassure you, it's okay. Sanshroomy is not adopted. I'm not sad because the story is accurate. It's okay.
Sam.
Oh wow, I can't take him seriously either. Why does he say my name like this? Sam. Okay, serious mode. Sam, you're not doing anything wrong. You know that, right? I think that you can be as sad as you want for as long as you need, or you can feel okay about it whenever you want to. He sighed and ran a hand through his hair as he looked out over the ocean.
It's okay.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, whatever you feel about it is how you feel about it. You don't have to force yourself to be different. Oh my god, words of wisdom. You cried sadly. You cried in relief. You nodded. Thank you, Cove. Would I cry? I don't. Would I? I'm 13 years old. I gotta think back because 13-year-old me was pretty. Was going through it, like the adolescence period. I was going through it. Did I cry that easily? I'm gonna save it just in case. But okay, let's interpret it this way, right? I was feeling really lost and like conflicted on whether it was right of me to think this way or not. So right now I'm crying in relief because I felt bad for not feeling anything. Okay, yeah, let's just do that. YOLO, since I saved it already. Yeah. His words made a lot of sense. You knew that despite everything you were going through, you would be okay. Even as the tears slowly rolled down your face, that thought comforted you. Okay. I like the sound of this. Okay, let's go. Cove smiled at you a little, and you could tell he was trying to be comforting. And your moms definitely don't. It doesn't matter if you're not blood related, you're definitely family. I can see that, and I hope you can too. You felt the reassurance in his eyes. Hey, oh, it's Elizabeth. She came out of her room. Are you okay? The sudden voice of your sister behind you made you jump. You saw her standing a little way away. She walked closer, and you didn't quite know what to do or what she was planning on saying.
So?
Would you mind going? I want to talk to just Sam. You can come back. It's not gonna be forever or anything. Cove seemed equal parts concerned and skeptical. Leaving now wasn't a concept that thrilled him. You nodded your head in agreement. Okay, yeah. If she wanted to talk to you in private, it was obviously about something important. You waited until the two of you were alone before fixing her with an inquisitive look. Elizabeth folded her arms, looking you over. Did moms tell you about your parents too? My birth parents also died. Yeah, I'll just tell her. Why would you suddenly say I don't want to talk about it? That's so cold. Elizabeth broke eye contact after that. Oh, her face. Oh, this is the first time I've seen her making this face. Oh, baby.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. It's okay. Why did you want to talk to me? I went to see you and you didn't even answer. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow at the news.
What?
I didn't hear anything. Oh, okay, no problem. Shutting everything out with loud music was very typical of your sister. You didn't feel much less confused though. Why did you stop doing that then? She shook her head as though the answer should be obvious. I was worried about you. I was the one who brought it up, but I made you deal with whatever was left when I was gone. Aww. She sighed, glancing upwards for a moment before settling on you once more. I wanted to ask you what happened without everyone breathing down our necks. I think I would just say I'm not mad at you. I mean, it's okay. I'm not angry or anything. It's fine. She stuck her nose up a little at that, but her smile was soft. Aww. I'm okay, Elizabeth. It didn't upset me.
Hey.
How are you allowed to be that mature? The lightening spirits in her were quickly gone as she slipped back into a scowl. You have to be born in the US to become president. She wanted to be president? What? Oh, you had never heard of that dream of hers before she noticed your bafflement and continued. I get I was never gonna be president, but it just feels weird having stuff taken away, not even getting a chance at it. She wanted to be president? I don't like having to know that when I was born, I was gonna have a completely different life. So different I can't even think about what it looked like in my head. Yeah, you could have I could have spoken another language, lived away from everything I've ever seen here, had someone else as my sibling. And then my parents died and I was adopted, and the life I got became a totally new thing forever. True. I can't go back to what it was even if I wanted to. A heaviness settled between you and the person who became your sister. Yeah, I get that. It's a scary feeling. Yeah, I knew exactly how she felt. True. It was a confusing feeling to have lived one way for as long as you can remember, but not having it be what was originally yours. True, and like, you wouldn't know what life would be like if you weren't adopted anymore. Elizabeth watched you seriously. She was still trying to make sense of this to you and herself. Okay. I don't know why today was the day. Nothing came up to make me ask the question. It was just something I've had in my head for a while. When it was just me and Mom's in the living room, I just kind of said it. Finally, there you go. She shifted from one foot to another, relaxing her stance just a bit. She also spoke more gently. Learning about them and what happened doesn't change how I feel about our family, Sam. Aw, baby. She smirked, fixing you with sharp eyes. I already figured out a long time ago that moms weren't our biological parents. That wasn't news. I think I'll just keep listening. Nothing about the family I was first born in would have made me decide that this wasn't my family anymore. If you had hoped you'd be free of my big sisterly status, don't think you're so lucky. She bumped shoulders against yours playfully, her lips tilted at the corners.
You'll always be my little sister.
Sheesh. The whole line is voiced. Oh my god. The last time we heard a fully voiced line was that slimy mushroom haircut kid called Jeremy. The little twink. I hugged her. Let's hug, let's go, let's hug. It took a few seconds, but she gave you a quick squeeze in return. Yeah, let's hug. Whoa! Oh, you always be my family too. Oh, cute. Chuckling, she seemed pleased with how the conversation had gone in the end. Ready to head back home? It's been a long day. You gave her a nod.
Come on.
Come on, you two, let's go. And Cove standing there like, right in front of my salad. Both just standing there like, probably like, oh, a bit away, just like eye mouth eye, just staring at the both of us. Okay, you walked home together in a comfortable silence down the well-worn street. The familiarity of it all felt nice. Okay, when you stepped through the door, you found your moms quietly sitting together at the kitchen table. Their heads snapped up and they got to their feet to meet you, Ma giving you a careful smile. We're so glad to see you. I'm sorry for walking away before. Hi, everything is alright. You said nothing. I think I'll just say everything is alright because everything is alright. Like, it's fine. It's okay. Everything is alright. That's right. That's wonderful, sweetheart. Really wonderful. Ma then came over and wrapped her arms around you and Elizabeth, giving you a tight hug. It didn't take long for Mom to join in, putting her arms around the both of you.
Love you.
Like, she just phased out in between the both of them. We really couldn't have asked for better kiddos. We love you. more than we could ever say.
Ah.
Mom. You were so glad your mom's alright. Yeah. Oh, see, the thing is, geez, like I said before, Sanshroomy is damage control. Like I'm always in that damage control position. So I'm just like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? And then like everyone around me is not okay. Oh, are you okay? So like as long as everyone is okay, I'm okay. That's right. Oh, I love you too. Oh, cute. Let them hug you for as long as they need it. Right, see, that's an important thing. Sometimes it's not whether you need a hug. Sometimes the other person needs the hug. So you let them hug you for as long as they need it. That's important. And it was a nice moment shared between you. They both pulled back eventually and grinned at the two of you, and you knew that you all had each other and you always would. Lee was there the whole time. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, Lee. Hey, I hope you're alright. Lee came up towards you, a soft smile plastered on her face. And are you okay, Elizabeth? Lee is just like smiling awkwardly. Elizabeth rolled her eyes and huffed a breath, and you knew she wasn't used to showing her vulnerable side.
Fine.
I'm doing fine. Lee nodded, though you could tell she didn't quite believe her. Wait, where's Cove? Did he just leave? I hope he got back home safely. We just left Cove on the beach. Well now, since we're all here, how about we do something together as a family? That sounds like an excellent idea. We should have some fun before the night's over. Totally! Oh. Totally. I love the sound of that. Oh. Oh wait, Cove is here? What is this situation? That's so funny. Oh, Cove is here? Why not? Wait, so... That is so funny. We didn't see Cove at all after Elizabeth told him to like yeet from the beach, and then he's here in our house right now with everyone. So it's just like 2 moms and like 4 kids in the room. Wow. You hid the smile that threatened to tilt your lips, knowing that Elizabeth must have been in a good mood if she hadn't teased Cole for being part of it. And no matter what she could have said about it, you wanted him to be here. Oh, the two of you had practically grown up together over the past 5 years. Who's got a suggestion? It should be something we can do here, in the house with everyone in the same room. Wow, that's very... squeezy. Oh, you suddenly remembered the show you and Lee had been working on earlier. Maybe we can do our show? Yeah, I mean, Lee is the one singing, right? I hope I don't go on stage. Like, I would hate it.
Oh?
A show? This is the first time we're hearing of this. I'm intrigued.
Wonderful.
It would be amazing if you put it on for us to watch. Oh yeah, I need to see what you've cooked up. That'd be cool. You smiled at Lee. I sure hope I'm not performing. I already made it very clear that I'm doing the makeup and the backdrops. I never said anything about singing. You smiled at Lee, who returned the gesture while bouncing on her heels in excitement. Take some seats and we'll get everything together. Okay, your moms collected the chairs from around the dining table and set them in a row in the living room where there was enough space for the show. While they did that, you and Lee quickly gathered the supplies you needed and rehashed the plan one last time. You listened through the song you had chosen one last time. I'm gonna sing, please. No, I hate it. After that, you quickly applied the makeup looks you had practiced earlier. The backdrop you had prepared earlier was also ready to go now that it was needed. Be getting a sand concert. Everyone saw my options. I did not choose that I would sing. I did not choose that I would sing or dance. I just chose the makeup option, I put the makeups on and I chose the backdrop option. I did not say I was saying, okay? Hovers over send song request redeem. You have a lot of points. I don't know how many points you have, but you have a lot of points and you are holding a lot of power in your hands right now. When the two of you returned to the living room, everyone was sitting and chatting amongst themselves while they waited. The group quietened down when you and Lee stood in front of them on your makeshift stage. Lee was buzzing quietly with excitement beside you. I'm not gonna stop anyone from using channel points. I can't do that. So like, you know, have fun if you choose to or not. I was unsure how to feel. I'm unsure how to feel. I thought I was a stagehand at this point. You could only wait to see how this was going to go. Okay, so welcome to our show. We only came up with it today, but we promise it'll be good. Stay quiet. That's me. I'm just like, I'll save for today. Saving for a good time. That's right. Just use it whenever you feel like it. Yeah, I stayed quiet. I'm just like, oh man. Your moms gave you a thumbs up in encouragement, ready for the performance. Then you nodded at Lee that you were ready to begin. What am I doing though? Lee took in a deep breath, waiting the few beats it took to get into the song and started singing. The makeup you had done on yourself and Lee made the show feel much more like a real production. I didn't sing, right? What was I there for? When the performance was over, Lee took your hand in hers and the two of you bowed deeply together. Everyone gave you a round of applause and cheered for an encore. When you straightened yourself up, you were happy to see that even Elizabeth was clapping for you. Bravo, bravo.
Good job.
You are so talented. Your family rose from their seats and came over to congratulate you more directly. You were beaming from ear to ear. Cove was the first one to approach, stepping up to you and Lee with a smile on his face.
It's nice.
Nice job. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, were you the one who did the makeup? Yeah, I did the makeups. Like, just a heads up, but like, performing arts makeup is not pretty. Okay. We draw everything on thick. Like, thick. It's like, it's not a look. Up close, like, we look terrifying, but I guess that's all performance makeup. Yeah, that was me. It's not a good look. Really, the eyeliner is drawn on thick. Okay, the lips are thick, it's bold, and like they draw on your eyebrows like thick. Like it's not. Man, I'm starting a flashback. It was nasty. Oh my god, and the blush, thick. Okay, like performance art makeup is something else. Like, you have to wash your face like a couple of times just to be convinced that everything is off. Yeah, it'd be like that. Cove smiled, content over his guess being correct.
Not bad.
I thought so. It was good. Thank you. You couldn't help but feel pleased that he could recognize your talent so easily. Your parents gushed about how great everything was and thanked you for sharing it with them. Elizabeth was complimentary in her own way, although she did describe the show as cute, which you knew she meant was kind of kiddie. You laughed it off, however, and were just happy that everyone had a nice time. In that moment, you couldn't have been more pleased to be a part of the family you had. Okay, we're done. That took an hour, okay. But we usually stream for 3 hours, so we'll definitely get to the end of that. Let's go. Okay, wait, give me a moment. Let me turn on the fan. It's like really hot in the room. Right? Okay, I'm back. It's really hot nowadays. I mean, it's hot every day. Who am I kidding? It's hot every day, every single day. Really hot. Okay, sunlight shone through the windows. I hate sunlight shining through my window. As you sat in your living room, your home phone pressed to your ear. Cove was on the other end. Oh my god, we're on the phone with Cove. Okay. It had been shaping up to be an extraordinary day like any other until Cove had called unexpectedly. Surprise call. He sounded unusually nervous greeting you. What's up? You listened as he kept talking, his words stilted. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Are you guys seeing this? So I was just wondering, do you want to come over to my house for dinner tonight? Sheesh. Sheesh. Oh shit. Is this a date? I'm sorry. I'm usually the thing is I'm not unhinged when I play Genshin. Like when I play Genshin, I'm pretty chill and it's always a very chill stream when I play Genshin. But when I start playing otome games, like I start getting really unhinged. Oh my god. The question came out strangely, almost like he'd rehearsed a few times beforehand. He's asking us out on a date to his house. Sheesh. Your eyes widened a little. You hadn't expected this to be the reason behind the call. I didn't expect this either. I thought dinner was just like we're just eating like, you know, in my house, like with my mom's. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Yeah, I'll go.
That's,
It was, huh? Oh. It seemed that Cove still had more to say and you just interrupted him. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm that kind of person. I'll just be like, oh, okay, let's go. Cool. Well... He stumbled for a bit, trying to gather his thoughts again. My mom and dad, they really want you to be there. Oh, if your parents don't have a problem with it, they asked me to ask you. Just dinner, San. Calm, calm. Oh yes, calm. Breathe. Also, like, it's really funny, but like, I just realized how expressive my eyebrows are. Like, I'm not using VTube Studio for my model capture, but my eyebrows are like really expressive. Like, can you see? Like, they move. Like a lot. And like, this is real eyebrow tracking, so like they're actually using my brows to try, and it's really funny. Okay, anyways, and I don't have wavy eyebrows, unlike my man's Cove. You took a moment to think. Dinner at home would be quiet and uneventful today. If you really wanted to, you could go to Cove's instead. That's right, I'm just eye off eye. I plan to rig, like, in the future, I plan to add like more facial expressions and like maybe a smoother rig, and maybe move over to VTube Studio because I heard that their capturing is a bit smoother. So I'm really interested in trying out VTube Studio in the future. So in the future, you may see me with more expressions. Okay, Cove spoke up again, breaking your thought train. His voice was softer than before. Oh, sheesh. Also, I want you to be there too. Calm down. Can you come over? I mean, I'm peaking in life right now. Yeah, I can come. Yeah, I can come. I will come. I want to come. I have to come. I will come. I mean, there's no other option. It's just like, why am I the only one invited? Or like, no, I can't make it. I'll have to get... These are also cold, you know? I can come. Yes. Okay. Thanks, Sam. I'll let them know when I can. He sounded noticeably relieved by your response. Was you coming over for a dinner today that serious? I don't know. Is it? Is it that serious? Who knows? Okay, he spoke to you for a little while longer to explain what time to come over and other details, and then he hung up. And that was that for now anyways. Okay, soon enough, the sun dipped out of the sky and evening came. It was time for you to head over to Cove's house. We've never been to Cove's house before. I'm not sure, but at least from the gameplay, we've never been to Cove's house before. Okay, so after letting Elizabeth know you were leaving, she didn't look away from the TV, just grunted, and you made the small journey across the street. You knocked a couple of times on the heavy door to their condo. As you waited for an answer, you found yourself contemplating being a guest while both of Cove's parents were there. I was apprehensive. See, I'm okay with all that. Like, even if you threw me to an outing with my friend and my friend's parents, like, I would be okay. But like, there's just a part of me that's just like, this is so awkward. So I was apprehensive. I was pressing X to doubt the whole situation. You didn't know what to expect from this dinner party. Yes, it feels like a trap. Like they're baiting me in. You didn't get too much time with your thoughts though. The door opened soon enough. Cove's mom, Kyra, stood in the frame smiling warmly at you.
Come on.
Oh my god, it's her. Hey, yes, Sam, welcome. Please, come on in. Oh, this is the first time we are seeing their house. Okay. She opened the door wider and moved to make room. You stepped inside, allowing her to shut it behind you. Thanks so much for coming over. I know it was kind of last second. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, thank you for having me. But the house is quite nice though. I like it has retro vibes.
Of course.
Of course, just make yourself at home. It's not my home, but I've been given permission to say that. It's My Little Pony. Hey Sam, welcome to our humble abode. Oh, I don't like his hair. I really don't like his hair. Oh, okay. You jerked your head towards the sound of Mr. Holden's voice. He waved at you briefly from the kitchen with his back turned and a large spoon in hand. I hope you're hungry because I'm whipping up a lot of tasty stuff. But if we're having food, I'm happy. I'm happy as long as there's good food. True to his word, you heard something sizzling on the stove. You closed your eyes and inhaled. It smelled spicy and savory. Ooh. Okay, with Mr. Holden busy and Cove nowhere to be seen, it was just you and Kyra. She gave you a wiry smile. He sure is. While I've been barred from cooking the entire time I'm staying here. Can you believe that? She nudged you with an elbow. Mr. Holden scoffed good-naturedly, then spoke from over his shoulder. You're on vacation, Kyra. You need to accept that already. She yelled back, amusement obvious on her face and in her tone. People still cook when they're on vacation. Everybody's gotta eat. It's not like I'm some celebrity who can go out for every meal or hire a private chef.
Sorry.
Well, in this house, you're a VIP. I'm glad that they get along even though they're divorced. Kyra smiled and shook her head quietly. Then she turned to face you once more.
Well.
Sorry about that, Sam. Here I was trying to strike up a conversation with you and Cliff just had to butt in. I like how Kyra is Kyra and then Cove and Cliff is just Cove's dad. Like they just don't bother to put Clift anymore. But I don't butt in. She eyed him, chuckling in disbelief. He wasn't exactly disproving her point with that. Kyra leaned over to whisper to you. Oh, what are you whispering? It's okay, he likes to be included, but since Clifford insisted on cooking all by himself, he'll have to wait. The two of us can chat. Her next question continued to be said in a hushed tone, just to be safe.
So,
How are you doing? I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm fine. That's what I like to hear. She opened her mouth to say something more, but some lightly pounding footsteps caught your attention. You checked to see Cove emerge from... sorry. You checked to see Cove emerge from the hall. A few moments later, he might have heard all the commotion and left his room to see what was going on. He quickly took stock of the situation. Sam, you made it. Thanks for coming. Why is his smile so derpy? Cole's voice was unnaturally loud, as if he thought you wouldn't be able to hear him from where you were, only a few feet away. Hi, Cove. You doing okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You don't look fine. Yeah, I'm fine. He didn't sound convincing at all. You narrowed your eyes suspiciously, but didn't call him out on it. Yeah, if you could talk to him alone tonight, maybe you'd ask him what was going on. Right. Cove is always like on the border of like he's not okay. It was when you glanced away from Cove that you spotted his parents watching the two of you interact. Cove noticed their stares too, meeting them with narrowed eyes.
So...
Are we having dinner now? Not yet, bud. I'm still cooking. Alright, I'm gonna go back to my room. As he turned to leave, he bent his head to the side to face you. You coming? The question was quiet, but you heard it clearly. You smiled, pleased that he asked, and nodded in affirmative. Cove turned fully and made his way down the hall. Cove is an emo teenager. He's going through it. Have fun, you two. We'll call you when food's ready to go. Okay. With that, you followed after Cove. The two of you made your way down the hall. Why are we choosing? This was the first time you were invited to see Cove's room. You had visited Cove's room before, but only rarely. Going over to Cove's room was a standard occurrence for you nowadays. Okay, I'm just judging and interpreting by the situation that Cove is not... He's friendly, but not that friendly. Okay, what would happen in this situation? Because clearly from just the gameplay, we actually have not been to Cove's room before. So I don't know why they're trying to test me by giving me that option, even though we clearly haven't been to Cove's room before. So okay, we'll save. We'll just save it here. But I'm just gonna say this was the first time you were invited to see Cole's room, because this is literally the first time that we've been to his room. So this is just the truth. Cove got to the door first, opening it and stepping inside. You joined him. His room is so cute. Oh my god. What? And my room looks disgusting like in the game. Like it's not like nasty, but his room is so big. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why is his room so cool? He has a fishy tank and everything. Man, there was a mat on the floor in front of the door. As you stepped over the threshold into his room, you felt the crunch of sand beneath your feet. Oh, hell nah. No. No, that's disgusting. No. No, his room looks so nice, but it hasn't been cleaned in a long time. You glanced down, sand was clustered around the entrance. You even spotted smaller amounts of it dusting the rest of the room's floor. No. No. Okay. Sanshroomy is a very clean person. I cannot stand messy. This isn't even like a normal messy. There's sand in his room. There's sand all over his room. His room is crusty. That is disgusting. I'm sorry, but that is disgusting. Clean your room, Cove. Exactly. This is not forgivable. No. That's a no from me. No, it's so nasty. Your room is where you lie down, relax, and rest. Imagine you just want to like casually sit on the floor and there's sand everywhere. Oh no, I hate it. I hate it so much. Though you hadn't anticipated it, you weren't surprised at the sight. I was surprised at the sight though. Of course, Beach Boy Cove Holden would get his room all sandy. No, it's disgusting. Stop. His room is crusty. So this is my room. Disgusting. The room is very nice until I realized that there was sand everywhere. Can't you just grab a vacuum cleaner? It's not that hard. Grab a vacuum cleaner and just vacuum the floor once. That's enough to get rid of the sand. Why? Cove was a bit shy as he said so, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt, using one hand vaguely gesturing to the space with the other. There's stuff you can sit on if you want. Yeah, there's sand I can sit on if I want. You looked over at the desk chair as an option. When you turned back, Cove was already sitting on the edge of his large bed. Straight up, I would say that. Straight up. Are you trying to make your own beach with all this sand? I would say that. Like,
Not really.
no, boy. But it'd be cool if I could. You couldn't help recalling a long time ago, Cove explaining his childhood dream home would be something located right on the shore of a beach. Maybe that idle thought still held an appeal for him. It made you smile to think about. I think I'll just sit on the chair. I don't want to know what's on his bed. What if his bed has like crusts of sand too? Oh, I hate it. It's like his bed is crunchy with sand. I'll sit on the chair. There was a desk chair in the room for a reason after all. You walked over and rolled it out, taking a seat on it. It was stiff against your butt and it creaked each time you shifted. He definitely used his bed space way more often. So upset. Textury. No. No. No, I don't want any texture. It's so nasty. And like, you know, because you're sitting on the desk chair, right? You know, like when you roll the desk chair, like you can hear the crunching of the sand beneath the chair. So nasty. Cove, I would be happy marrying you one day, but if our house is going to become crusty with sand, I would have to think twice. I really would have to think twice. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating and it gets everywhere. Exactly. It's so like if you go to the beach, I already accepted the fact that I'm gonna go on sand, right? I mean it's the beach, you know, and then I might feel a bit like you know, kind of uncomfortable and all. But when you get back home, you can bathe, right? You can get the sand and the grit off. But you're in your room and there's sand on the floor and everything is crusty. That is so nasty. Even if the sand was soft, because you know there's coarse sand and on some beaches the sand is very soft and nice. Even so, why? Oh, but like on the topic of sand, like I've been to Australia before and some beaches in Australia, their sand is actually very, very soft. It's very soft and gentle, and it feels almost fluffy. So I had a good experience on one of the beaches in Australia. It was winter time in Australia, so the beach was cold and the sand was very soft and like gentle. Okay, so that was a good experience at the beach. The rest of the time, sand is disgusting. I hate it. I genuinely hate it. Well, too late to complain now. You just have to deal with it. Oh man. Okay. With a silence growing, your gaze began to drift. You stared at the bright fish swimming in the tank. That's cute. There were a bunch of them floating to and fro in the open space. They stood out starkly against the green aquarium plants. How long have you had those fish? I like fish, it's cute.
I guess.
My dad bought them for me not very long after I moved here. I guess it's been years now. Oh. They live very long, huh? Wow, that's a long time. You peeked carefully into the tank. The fish looked to be doing well. He must take good care of them. That's good, that's good. Wait. Most of them were small, but there was one especially big one. What are their names? I don't name them. Well, not really. You lifted an eyebrow at that. He continued the explanation sheepishly.
I mean...
Aww. Mostly, I just call them things based on what they look like. Squirt for a small one, tangerine for a really orange one, that sort of thing. I've had a lot of fish and I'm not that good at coming up with names cute. You found that funny? Yeah, it is funny. Who knew that was a weakness of his? It was an entertaining revelation. Oh, a couple of them have other types of names. Pointed to a small orange-ish red fish. It was minding its own business away from the others. My dad named her Dreamcatcher, and that other one's Mark. Mom came up with that name. Dreamcatcher and Mark. Cove smiled to himself, his eyes reflecting the glow from the tank. You let other people name your fish?
It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Cute. He then turned to you, tilting his head to the side. There was a considering look on his face. Do you want to name one? Oh my god. Can I? His smile grew a little at your interest. Sure. Ah, there's a few who don't have names right now, the newer ones. You can pick which one you want to name. He pointed each of the recent acquisitions to you. Okay, the first one was the smallest fish in the tank. It was completely orange and zipped all over the place, running laps around the others. The second one was slightly bigger and red. Its tail was dotted with black spots, which almost resembled freckles. Ooh, the last fish was the biggest one. Its multicolored scales rippled under the bright light of the tank as it slowly made its way across the vast expanse. You went with... I'll go with the biggest fish because the biggest fish looks chunky and it's very cute. Okay, so what's the name? I'll just name it my actual name. So at least Sanshroomy exists in this world. Yeah, okay. Alright, San, that's right. I'm gonna semi-impose. I'm gonna juxtapose myself. I'm gonna insert myself. I'm gonna, what was that? Superimpose? Juxtapose? No, no, no. What's the word? I'm going to, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna suck myself into the game. That's right. Now the chunky fish in Cove's tank is actually the correct name. And with that, his attention moved from view to the tank. He peered fondly at it and its inhabitants. Yay! Now, Sanshroomy is actually in the game as a fish. You smiled proudly at sand as it swam through the tendrils of the plants, disappearing, then reappearing soon after. You know, I'm not allowed to have pets in my house, not even fish. The corners of Cove's lips turned down at that. That doesn't sound fair. It's not like fish would make a mess of your house or anything. You just gotta take care of their tank and feed them and they'll be okay. It's true though. I would want fish. They trust me and Elizabeth to go around the neighborhood alone, but they won't let us have a pet. It doesn't make sense. Maybe when you're older they'll let you? I don't know, they seem pretty against it. Your current conversation brought to mind a memory from years ago. You launched into it without any warning, earning you a brief confused look from Cove. One time, Elizabeth came back from playing at the beach and just shut herself in her room. She only came down for food, then she ran back upstairs straight after. It was kind of weird. My moms didn't think much of it at first though. But then that night Ma went into her room to say goodnight and started screaming. Mom and I ran over to see what happened. Lizzie had this huge lizard in her arms. I like lizards though, they're really cute. Cove's eyebrows rose at that, and he leaned forward in interest.
Really?
A lizard? Where'd that come from? Is it like an iguana or something? Elizabeth said she saw it half buried in the sand and didn't know what it was. Then she pulled it out and got the answer, so she brought it home. It's probably an iguana. Right? Because, I don't know, like, iguana? Yeah, iguana. Lizards that live on beaches. Yeah, like marine iguanas or stuff like that. They're really cute. I like lizards. She hid the lizard in her room for most of the day because she wanted to keep it. I would actually like to keep a lizard as a pet, but it's not allowed in my country. But if it was allowed, I would totally get a pet lizard, like a gecko. I really want to get a gecko. Oh, okay. Mom and Ma were not happy. They worried about putting it out during night. But she was going to have to let it go in the morning. Aww. Lizzie was really upset. She did bring it back to the beach eventually, but she wouldn't talk to anyone for days. When she did get over it, it was almost like it never happened. You laughed. Thinking back to that time, Elizabeth had always been stubborn, but when she was younger, she forgot grudges quickly. Now it wasn't so easy. I want axolotl, but don't know enough about taking care of them. Axolotls are cute. Yeah, but I heard that they require quite a bit of effort to take care of. So, like, and I don't know, I feel like, I mean, it's the same for wet and dry, but like for marine animals, like you have to take note of like the water temperature and like the water like salt content and stuff like that. So I guess if you're not really sure, it could like hurt the animal. Whereas I feel like land animals are a just a bit easier to manage, because like you just need to make sure, like, you know, like the temperature is okay. Like you don't really need to worry about the water part so much. Cove had been quiet for most of the story. Apart from the reveal of the lizard, he had a thoughtful look on his face. I can't even oh yeah, he's only child, right? I can't even imagine what it'd be like to have a sibling. You gave serious thought to his statement before you told him. Honestly, I'll save it over here, but like honestly, sometimes it's a lot easier to be an only child. I think there are ups and downs. It's not it's there are ups and downs. Yeah, there are ups and downs. It depends on the sibling. Some siblings are just nasty. It's fun to have her there when she wants to be there, but now Elizabeth barely feels like hanging out with me. Cove pursed his lips at the words, considering them quietly for a while.
Cool.
That's interesting. I think your family is cool. He didn't have much else to say though. While on the topic of your family, you considered your relationship with your moms too. Yeah, I got along with them, yeah. You had disagreements with them, but at the end of the day, you loved them and they loved you. That was what really mattered. Well, say what you want about them, but at least your moms never tried to pay someone to be your friend. That burn though. That was a mega burn. That was like the sickest burn like ever burn. Oh my god. The thought prompted you to look over at Cove. He probably still didn't know what happened. No, he does not know. Wait, let me drink water. You doubted that Mr. Holden mentioned it, and you never had. You wondered if you should tell him. It was a long time ago, but you were keeping a secret from Cove. Oh, now though, his parents are outside. No, I hope they give us more options to tell him now, but I'm not gonna tell him now. His parents are literally outside. I'll save it though. His parents are outside. Okay, let's see how he reacts, okay? Because I saved it. If he reacts badly, straight away, I'm going back to this save point, okay? Straight away, I'm gonna yeet to the save point if he reacts badly. Okay, let's go. Yellow. You took a deep steadying breath to prepare yourself for the conversation. Now you had to figure out how to tell him. Cove, I have something important to tell you. Is this too serious? Yeah, I don't know, never mind. We got the save. We're fine. We're safe. Because we got the save. Cove's head cocked to the side. At your serious tone, he turned to give you his full attention.
What?
What is it? Ah, thank God there's a save. In life, there is no save point. In games, there's a save point. You stared into his bright ocean eyes. Yeah, I told him the truth. Let's go. This happened back when you moved here. It was the first time I met your dad. There's not really any other way to say it, so he offered me $20 to be friends with you. It's out, my boys. The truth is out. Okay, I mean, honestly, like, I wouldn't take it that seriously though, but we have to understand that Cove, he's a bit more sensitive to this kind of thing, so I just hope that he doesn't take it badly. Cove sat still, uncharacteristically. Did you hear the ooh? I hope it wasn't like too soft. I tried to adjust the volume, so it should be... Is it okay? Is the volume okay? Cove, yeah, uncharacteristically, there was an unreadable expression on his face. It's good? Okay, good, good. Whenever you play a sound effect, just let me know whether it's good or bad so I can like make adjustments to it. His eyes seemed to look through you and you didn't know what to do next. Okay, then without saying a word, Cove stood up. Oh, he really yeet! Cove stood up from his bed in a single motion and he just bolted right out of the room. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! He just bolted out of the room. He had some salad to eat. Pain. For a moment, you didn't move a muscle. You were in shock. This was... Oh no. Your senses quickly came back. You shot out into the hall after him. Cove! There was no response to your call. You could see Cove down the way. He had already sprinted back to the living room. His arms were stuck at his sides, with hands tightly balled into fists. He might not have been facing you, but you didn't need to see his face to know how he felt. Cove was furious. His parents were nearly finished setting the table. They greeted him, none the wiser of what was about to happen.
Huh?
Hey, what's up? You don't want to know what's up, ma'am. When did you start running in the house? Oh, he's going to kick My Little Pony. Are you that famished? Cliff, you better run. You were able to catch up in full and stand near Cove. Oh, he was vibrating like an atom. The parents' words didn't even register in his ears. Their child was wholly focused on another matter. He was practically shaking like the atoms in our body and in metal and in all living things. He was shaking furiously. Cove took one more step forward and glared up at his father's face. Sheesh. Oh my god. Aha. Aha. Oh, I'm scared. You paid Sam to be friends with me? Even the mom's face, Mr. Holden froze. He looked like a helpless deer caught in the headlights. Oh my god. This is like bad. This is like Mayday bad. This is like bad. Okay, excuse me, I burped.
Seriously?
Oh my god. Clifford, are you serious? He whipped his head towards Kyra, his eyes wide and blinking rapidly. It was only one time. I had a good time though. I have like $20. salad anyone, right? Let's just go to like a salad bar and like just make our own salad. Like let's just pass like all the popcorn, the salad. We're just watching this entire thing unfold. The admission elicited an aghast expression from his ex-wife. Mr. Holden raised his hands up to gesture defensively. It seemed like a good idea when it happened. A good idea, are you sure? She covered her eyes with one hand. It was clear that her patience was frayed, but she was not so shocked anymore. Mr. Holden bowed his head, rubbing the back of his neck guiltily. The fact that she accepted this as something he'd do so easily seemed to be the most crushing part. Cove, oh no, don't cry, please don't cry. Cove just stood there fuming silently during their little aside. His eyebrows furrowed painfully and his eyes trembled. I felt bad for everybody right now in this situation. None of this was good at all. It was terrible. Father, exactly, father. Like, father, how could you do this? Like, jeez. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, but must have only been a few minutes, the tense silence was broken by Cove. I don't want to stay here. Right, I can't believe you've done this. Literally get slapped with the truth that your dad paid your best friend in the whole wide world $20 to become friends with you. Can't believe you've done this. Oh, but he was cooking something spicy. I wonder what it was. That immediately caught his parents' attention. They turned to him with twin expressions of worry. Hey, wait a minute, bud. You don't have to do that.
It's alright.
There's still your room. We'll stay out of your way, I promise. Where could you go at this time of day? It's almost night.
No!
I can stay with Sam! True. He stormed out of the house. Without waiting for another response, you jumped as the door slammed closed behind him. I would just follow Cove. I'm not gonna stay with the adults. I'm just gonna yeet. You didn't even take the time to say something to his stunned parents. You ran after Cove, shutting the door more softly behind you as you left. You spotted him easily. Cove hadn't made it far. He'd just reached the middle of the road. I don't really think I would know what to say in this situation, so I would just follow him quietly. You had already said enough. You walked a couple paces behind him, silent. Cove stomped forward, going across the street without hesitance towards your house. It didn't take long to approach the front door. You'd left it unlocked, so he yanked it open and went inside with you. Can't believe you took that $20 back then, all alone with no outside influence. Excuse me? Excuse me? You guys, the chat was in it. You guys told me to take the money. Both of you, okay? You and my mod. Both of you. Both of you told me to take the money, so I did. I was $20. Oh my god, that emote. Don't pretend you're sleeping, slander and lies. You're slandering and lying. Both of you were like, oh my god, take the money, San, take the money, San. And both of you were like, come on, take the money. You know, aha, money, $20. Then I was like, okay, well, let's take the money. And now this happened. Because I took the money. Because I took the money. Okay. We were all in this. Me and the chat. We were all at fault. And now Cove is going through something. Because of us. Anyways, let's go and see what's happening to Cove. The peace sign. Gotta have some coin to support your future husband. That's right. Those were funds. You know what I mean? Exactly. Those were just funds, you know, to buy like a $20 ring at the dollar shop to propose or something, you know? That's right. Like $20 can buy you a lot. It can buy you a meal at like, I don't know, Sushi Express. Or like, I don't know, Genki Sushi, you know? You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure our moms are like at home and they're just like, what happened? The two of you stood tensely together in the middle of your living room. The night really hadn't gone as you imagined it would. Oh man, sushi. Sushi's good, bruh. Sushi is good. Shrimp is good. Salmon is good too. Oh. Okay, good. At least Elizabeth wasn't around and your moms were out. You had no idea how you would have explained the situation to them, and you were sure Cove wouldn't have been up for that. He watched you from a distance. His expression wasn't hostile, but it was not exactly welcoming either. Oh man. I think I would just ask if he was okay. Like, I mean, what does apologizing have to do, you know, at this point? I don't think he wants to hear an apology. I'll just ask, like, are you okay? Cove shifted so his back was to you. Then he crossed his arms over his chest. Are you mad at me? Yeah, are you mad at me? You're surprised. He actually responded. What? No.
It's okay.
I wish I'd known before, but I guess there's never really a good time to bring up something like that. Exactly. You're not the one who did anything. Okay, anyways. His tone was clipped and insulting, though it was now fully clear that none of the negativity was towards you. And we're actually friends, aren't we? Of course. It doesn't matter if you took it or not. You wouldn't pretend for years just cause of Dad's money. That's right. That's right, he gets it. He gets it. Oh my god. You nodded your head furiously at that. If there was one thing you didn't want this revelation to do, it was weaken your relationship. Exactly. Of course we're friends. Cove seemed to appreciate your reassurance. The furrow in his brow eased a little. Yeah, we are. I'm definitely not mad at you. Thank God. I should thank you for not letting him get to you and for telling me it happened. My dad never would have. True. He's always like that. He just does things. He doesn't ask or tell me about it or anything. Cove threw his arms out, his features twisted in frustration. There was already the thing with my mom coming to stay with us for the summer out of nowhere, and that was supposed to be a surprise I'd find out about. Who knows what other things he's done that I've never heard of? Does he even know how to think about what someone else might actually want? Valid concern. Valid. His feelings are valid. He paused to take a panting breath, scowling. I would just listen at this point. I don't really think it's up to me to tell him how to feel. Uninterrupted by you, Cove went on with his spiel. The worst part is, I know he doesn't do stuff for himself. He does things because he wants to make people happy. Oh no, he's going to cry. His eyes are teary. Cove blinked rapidly, and you noticed tears were gathering in his eyes. When he spoke again, his voice was heavy with emotion. But then he just makes everything worse, and then he's really sorry, and it's like it's your fault for not being happy that he was at least trying. Wow, this is very well written. I get it. Not that it's happened to me, but like it connects very well. The whole emotional process connects very well. And what if all his plans were always being so pushy did change things? What things? Oh no, oh my god, no, don't cry, ah! Cove finally met your gaze, his bottom lip trembling. You realized that he was referring to you and him. What if he did make you stay away from me? What he did made you stay away from me before we even got to know each other. Oh, he's full on crying. Oh no. His voice cracked as he forced himself to speak through the tears that began to fall in earnest. He did everything he could say it, but the words were barely a whisper.
Sam.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The way he says my name is very funny. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Sam, you were the best thing about. Okay. Sam, you were the best thing about coming here. Oh, thank you. Oh, you too. You too. You're the best thing. You're the reason why I'm playing this game right now. Bruh. It's the way he pronounces my name that is so funny. Like, I know he's trying to, like, I don't know, be like, sound sad or something like that. But he's just like, Sam. Oh, I'm going to hell for laughing at him. I apologize. That was really funny though. Okay, stop laughing at the poor boy. He's crying and we're just here like clowning him. He's Sam. Cove was honestly terrified over the idea that there was a chance the two of you might not have what do you do? Yeah, okay, true. Valid fear. Valid. You hugged him. Yeah, I'll honestly. Oh, there's an option. You hugged him or you wiped his tears. Oh, I'm gonna save this one. So this is what happens. I'm just saving all these points and then after that, like, I'll go back. I'll go back and replay them. And see what other interesting options we get. Asking for $20. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The poor boy is crying and then Sai is over here like, just asking for $20, you know, like, let's just ask you for more money. Like, excuse me, I'm gonna bonk you. So, wow, this is so intimate. You wiped his tears or you hugged him. Okay, I'll just hug him first. Hello, Mal. Cove readily accepted the embrace. He wrapped his arms. Exactly. I'm bonking you. This is me bonking you. How could you say that? How could you say that, huh? But just here like, haha, $20. And then this guy is like pouring his heart out at us right now. Okay. Anyways. Cove readily accepted the embrace. He wrapped his arms around you in return. The grip was firm. He's not angry with you. Now you know what you can get away with. Because he's not angry, so we're just like, well, we can just extort money out of him right now. Cause he's not mad, bruh. I'm really glad we got to be friends. Yeah, I'll say that. His features crumbled at your words. You couldn't tell exactly what his expression was, but it seemed a mix between relief and sorrow. He sniffled. Sugar Daddy Cove. He doesn't seem like a person with a lot of money. Not that I mind, but I mean, I respect him. My man's probably spends like stuff on like equipment on like surfboards or like stuff like that, which I completely respect because I spend the same thing for like food and like technology stuff. Me too. Aww. You remained like that for just a while. Rich with love. That's right. He's rich with love. He scrubbed. Oh god, don't scrub your eyeballs. Then he scrubbed his eyes with the back of one hand. His gaze turned away from you, growing distant. He's like that with my mom too. Are we gonna get another lore? Cove Holden lore? Oh, he's angry again. The anger he had begun to release bubbled back to the surface. That wants to make people happy, but he doesn't, in bold. Oh, the words landed scathingly hard. You were certain it crushed Mr. Holden if he heard them. Yeah, Mr. Holden doesn't mean anything bad, but I do agree sometimes maybe what he's doing is not right. But then again, like, you know, he was trying, even though it was not the best option. You'd never known much about his parents' relationship, but you thought you understood it a bit better now. I think I'll ask him, like, do you hate him? Like, you know, try to understand his feelings a bit better. Cove just looked at the ground. As the two of you were stifled by the quiet, a thought came to your mind, abrupt and sudden. Wait, what day? Okay, I'm gonna save. I don't know what I'm referring to. I remember that day when it happened. Okay, I'll just see like what that. Ah, okay. You ran to the hills behind the house, and Mr. Holden waited for you to come back while my moms checked the park for you. That was when I met you for the first time, after he talked to me about you. Wolf lifted his eyes just enough to see you. His head remained low. I remember too, when we first moved to Sunset Bird, I felt like I lost my whole life. Maybe that's why he wanted to help you start a life here so much. His eyebrows scrunched up, and he seemed on the verge of tears once more. It was obvious Cove didn't want to think about his dad that way, but it was also hard not to right now. True, I understand. He must be conflicted over where to go from here. I don't think I'm in a position to say anything about his dad. And I don't think I'm in a position to tell him to make up. And I don't think I'm in a position to say that. And and I'm turning into a motorcycle. I'll be on your side no matter what you do about your dad. True. Okay, I feel like he has the right to choose whether he wants to hate his dad or not because of this, because it really depends. And it's really not up to anyone to tell him how to feel. So no matter what he chooses, it's just like the same thing. Like how he was supportive when we learned that our birth parents died. Yeah, I would say that. I'll be on your side no matter what you do about your dad. It's your choice. Cove smiled thoughtfully. He didn't say anything, but you had a feeling he appreciated the support. I'm going back home. Okay. His face was set in determination. There was no way you could tell him to do anything else, so even if you wanted to, so you only nodded.
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Sam. I'm sorry about all this. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's completely fine. It's all good. Can I come with you? I'll just ask if he wants me to come. Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't you go? You smiled lightly. Ah, just checking. Cove nodded and headed outside. You followed behind him. Once again, the two of you made your way across the street. Towards his house. He didn't pause at the door. He just opened it wide and went in. He just burst in again. Cove's parents were sitting at the table, their heads bowed and silence between them. They snapped over at the sound of the door, relieved to see Cove return. Mr. Holden stood up so suddenly, his chair squealed across the floor. See, this is how I see it. I know that sometimes in life you need a push, so I'm not saying that Cove's dad did the wrong thing. I disagree with the using money thing, even though it was funny. But like, it's not wrong of him to maybe like ask like, "Hi, can you talk to my kid?" and all that. I don't think it's wrong, but the money thing would have like. Oh wait, my bitrate is bad. Is it okay? Can you guys hear me? Okay, my bitrate's up again. It kind of like dipped a bit. But like, yeah, I don't think it's right to use money, but there's nothing wrong with like. How would you react in Cole's position? Would you have gotten mad at your parents? Can hear you fine. Okay, me personally, see, just the sentiment of Cove telling us that like you know, about how his dad always tries to do things without considering other people's feelings. I would have gotten mad at that too, because I understand that it's frustrating, you know, because you're just doing things. Excuse me, I burped. Like, because you're just doing things, right, and you don't ask anyone about their opinion, and you just think that that's the right thing, even though you don't mean any harm. I feel like sometimes it does more harm, especially because he didn't ask about like how Cole felt, like, you know, with his mom and all that. So at that, I understand and I would get mad too, but see, we have to understand that like, I personally, like, it depends on what they do, but okay, like about the mom thing, if I was in that situation, I would get mad. For sure, that like he didn't ask me anything before like he told my mom to come back home, you know. But regarding the money thing, I can't really imagine myself in that situation, because as a kid I was like loud. I was loud and friendly. Sanshroomy was a very peppy kid when I was younger. So I don't imagine a situation where I need to be helped in that way. But I completely understand why Cove feels that way. So it's like, I understand that Cove's dad didn't mean it, but I think, like, you know, just because you don't mean harm and you mean well doesn't mean that you're in the right. So I think what is important for Cove's dad right now is to understand that he really should take people's feelings into consideration, and that you can't just get excused because you want to like make people happy, you know. It's not an excuse that you mean well, but what you're doing in the end is like hurting people. So I hope he wakes up. He needs to wake up.
Cove?
Cove? Yeah. Kara got out of her chair as well, but less dramatically. Fair, yeah. Sansroomy's analysis. How are you feeling, baby? I wanted to talk to you. Oh, in front of our salad again. Let's go. His parents looked over at him, their features soft. Cove instead snuck a glance at you. Personally, I don't think I should be here. I'm scared. I'll save, but if I was just standing there, I'm the kind that would be like, oh, I'll just leave, you know, like if you need me, I'll just be like outside. I'm that kind of person, so I don't feel like I'll be here. Yeah. This was meant to be a private moment between family members. Maybe you were ruining it somehow by being there. Yeah, I would feel like that, honestly. It's kind of awkward. Like I'm all like supportive and all that, but that's a bit awkward. Oh, okay. Cove didn't seem to think the same way because he stood up a bit straighter upon seeing your face. Like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like I'm Cove Holden's emotional support animal. I'm his emotional support buddy. I'm just there, like, you know, there. I don't mind though. It's funny though. Cove then fully faced his parents. Mr. Holden stepped forward cautiously, his expression twisting in dismay. I am so sorry. I should have never done something so stupid. It's okay. It really isn't. That was a boneheaded move if there ever was one. I was bribing an actual child. Yeah, true story. One I never even met before that day. Cove almost cracked a smile, though he quickly regained his composure. Then it isn't, but I want things to be okay anyway.
I'm sorry.
Cove, I'm sorry, is what he said. Kyra placed a hand on Mr. Holden's shoulder. Your dad doesn't believe there's something wrong with you or that you can't make your own friends. He can explain.
I know.
I know why dad did it. He wanted me to be happy, that's all. He didn't think it'd be like this. It was an accident. Kyra sighed heavily. A sad smile appeared on her lips. You're very grown up, Cove. Mr. Holden brought his hands up against his forehead and began to pace around the room. He didn't seem to know what to do with himself. He turned back around to face Cove and Kyra. He looked more solemn than you'd ever seen him. I'm not going to do it again. I haven't done it again. Yeah, true story. He didn't bribe us again. We got $20 and that was it. Haven't tried to bribe more people or haven't continued to step over a line without registering it. Both. He let out a heavy breath before shrinking down a little. It was impressive because he was pretty tall.
I'm trying.
I don't know, but I don't think so. Cove's throat bobbed as he swallowed thickly. He looked like he was trying to gather all his courage. When he spoke up, his voice was small but firm. You invited mom here. Ooh, you invited mom here. His dad's eyes widened. Cove was ready to have a talk that he had put off before. You didn't ask me if I wanted things to be like this, with both of you together again just for a little while. Mr. Holden's hand slowly returned to his forehead. He was stunned, as if someone had just hit him. I did it again. Oh, feels bad. I did it again and I didn't even notice. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just do something right? At least Cove seemed relieved that he was able to say what he felt. You knew just how long he'd been holding that in. It was quiet for a long stretch. Mr. Holden had sat down in a chair, his shoulders drooped and his head in his hands. You looked to Cove. He watched his dad and how genuinely he was struggling with what he'd been told. See, that's the thing. Some people actually don't know. And it's like it's not their fault, right? So personally, I don't know, I guess I'm lucky or something. I've never really dealt with people like that often, maybe like once or twice in my life, like Cole's dad. But like I understand like how frustrating it is because they genuinely don't know that they're doing something wrong. And like, are you gonna spend the energy to explain to them? you know, because like it's not their fault, but like you're getting hurt because of it. And it's like it's sad to see them realize that, like, oh, I've been doing something wrong, and you just feel bad, like it's all like it's your fault for like making them feel that way, but like they genuinely didn't know. So I get why Cove is so frustrated. Poor 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 angsty green boy. Cove glanced down at the ground, then looked back to his dad. I'm not angry anymore. Yeah, at this point there's no point getting angry, honestly. Slowly Mr. Holden met his son's eyes. I can try to talk to you about things and what I feel about stuff. I stopped saying that to you since everything happened. I didn't want to talk to you, but you won't have to guess if you know. Aw. Mr. Holden broke eye contact at that, shaking his head.
God.
My child shouldn't have to take care of me. Yep. He's a good dad. Smart. You shouldn't have to make up for my shortcomings, Cove. I can fix things. I can still change. After having something of an outburst, Mr. Holden turned his face away and spoke more guardedly. And besides, I'm used to that already. I might not get it right, but not a damn thing would happen in what's left of this family if I wasn't making the effort. It's always me. What's one more thing to manage? Dad, it's true. It's true. Mr. Holden is trying his best. He's actually trying his best, and I feel bad about it. He actually is the one gluing the family together, and I feel bad for him.
I see.
You're right, Cliff. I know. Yeah. Maybe that's why I was hesitant to put the blame. This isn't something you can put the blame on, like Cole's dad, like immediately. But I don't think Cove wants to take care of you. He just wants to understand. And he wants his dad to understand too. That's what matters, isn't it? It was... And once again, this is all happening in front of our salad. Again. It was still as Mr. Holden digested what Kyra said. He stared down at his empty hands held out in front of him. Oh, he's gonna cry. Oh God. In front of our salad. I was still here. When he looked at Cove again, tiny tears glimmered in the corner of his eyes. In front of our salad. Once again, we've been eating a lot of salad these few streams. Everything has just been happening. Family situations happening in front of us. Like us learning the fact that our birth parents were dead in front of us. Cove and his mom bickering in front of us. And now the entire Holden family bickering in front of us. Again. He got up and crossed the room to his son. Cove didn't move or look away as he approached. Mr. Holden set his hands on Cove's shoulder, the touch firm. He furrowed his brows. But you and I are gonna talk about every single thought that ever pops into our heads. For the rest of your life. Oh, he's crying again. Oh, I don't want to be here. It's so awkward. But I'm happy. I'm happy that like they sorted it out. I'll be always in these situations. I'm not mad. I'm just saying, you know, you have to admit that like us as the MC, like me and the chat, were always just watching them bickering in front of us. He shook Cove back and forth a bit. Tears slipped down Cove's cheeks, but he was smiling.
What?
No, I don't want that. Mr. Holden began to smile too. It trembled at the corners, but it was genuine. Okay. I'm afraid it's the only way. Oh, everyone's crying. Oh no. Kara chuckled even as she blinked away her own tears. Ah, everyone's just crying. Everyone's just crying. Okay, we're just here. In the middle of it. Okay. Kyra chuckled even as she... Oh yeah, okay. You... okay. Kyra, you better not be thinking you can get away from this, Kyra. The same is gonna apply to you. You can't. Oh, please. Are they gonna act out in front of me? Please, I'm on my knees begging, don't do this. He let go of Cove with one hand while he placed his other arm around Cove's shoulders. Then he faced Kyra. Please, don't do anything weird. I'm begging you.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, I can. He continued to talk as he walked in her direction, bringing Cove along with him. I'm not mad. But you have to admit this situation is very awkward. Like you have to admit it. It's so awkward. San is uncomfy. Isn't it awkward? Don't you find this entire situation like awkward? Like you know, you followed your best friend back home and he's crying, and you know you had to like comfort him and like you had to talk, and then now you're just watching his entire family crying, and we're just there watching them. Felt that though, honestly, right? Like look, like this is me right now. Like look, this is. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, my face is too. Okay, my mouth and my eyes are not in the same place. Okay, I'm sorry, that looks disgusting. Look at that. Okay, that's nasty. I thought it would work out, but I forgot that my mouth is a lot lower than my lips. Okay, never mind. I turned into a demon for a second. But yeah, okay, I guess happy ending. Then, father and son were standing in front of her. Mr. Holden put his other arm around her. Now he had both of them in his arms. If you think the ideas that I can actually go with are bad, you two are going to be amazed by the thoughts I decide against all on my own. Kara jokingly cringed at the concept. Cove smiled tearfully up at his parents. Thanks, Dad. Yay! We're a happy family now.
I'm so glad.
Thank you, son. But hey, you know what I'm thinking? Can I leave? Cove, wiping his face with the back of his hand, shook his head. God, no, you're an incomprehensible maniac. Mr. Holden laughed, not disputing her words. I think, yeah, give me a consultant fee. Oh my god. Like, oh god. This family better pay me back for the therapy session. Exactly. This whole situation happened because of me. Okay, I gave, this is family therapy right now. I'm thinking we should eat that dinner. I painstakingly made. It's salvageable. Just gotta heat it back up. Let's just eat dinner. Yay! Like, Kara sighed in exaggerated relief. Yay, let's just eat dinner after our whole like family squabble, as the poor like childhood friend from across the street is just standing there.
Can do.
They're ignoring me. I'm not there anymore. Dr. San, I'm gonna change my career. I'm gonna quit being a fairy. I'm gonna go to med school right now. I'm gonna study psychology right now. Can't do this anymore. That we can manage. Right, Cove? Ahaha, yeah. Ahaha. Great, we're making progress already. Ahaha.
Well,
I hate this. So I don't even know how I'm gonna start making this up to Sam. Finally, at least he knows. Carrying that secret for all this time must have been quite the burden to bear. I don't know. Was it a burden? I don't know. I guess it was kind of a burden. I guess. It's fine, you know, it's fine. It's fine. Like, y'all are happy now, I guess. I'm so salty. It's fine, you know, it's fine. It's all good. And yeah, I'm just... Yeah, 20... Oh, now we're talking. $20 is not nearly enough for all that hullabaloo. I'm mad. Wait, take that back. Where are the options to choose? I'm not mad about it or anything. It was a hard time for your family. I guess I just have to be the better person then. Either way, I or we will work on it. Okay. Cove ducked his head and spoke towards you. There was a tiny smile on his face. Do you want to stay for dinner still? Do you want to stay for dinner still? I don't know, do I? Do I want to stay for dinner still? I love to. Yeah, I love to. Yeah, okay. 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 Guess we're just eating dinner then. Okay. Sure. Mr. Holden finally let go of his family. I'm sorry. I'm so salty. The situation they put me in was painful. Hera patted him on the back with a content sigh. You're very good boys. I'm so lucky. Ah, happy family now. Ah, salad, right? Salad. Where's my salad? It's like, like I'm happy that everyone is happy now. You know, glad all of you guys are good and, you know, happy, you know. Yeah. You're welcome, I guess. Not that anyone bothered to ask, but Cove shyly rubbed his arm while Mr. Holden nervously rubbed his neck. Man, neither could make eye contact out of bashfulness. Ehehe, right, they're so shy now. In that moment, they really did seem like father and son. Cove's family was nice, you thought to yourself. You were glad that you got to come over. Am I glad though? I don't know. Am I glad though? Okay, we're done. We're done with that. Uncomfortable situation. We're done. Woo! Patch. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Give everyone a pat on their back for having to sit through that with me. Okay. And now, the last one before we move on to step 3. Woo! Pat, that's right. But first, a toilet break. Everyone, please go to the toilet and pee if you need to. And we will come back. Let's go. Be right back. I'm back. Let's go. Hopefully we can finish this by today. There's still I think I can extend. I just want to see what happens in step 3, so I'll do step 3 today. Let's go road trip. Okay, wait, water. Okay, even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sky above was still dark, though lightening by the minute. Okay, so I guess we're awake really early. Okay, usually you wouldn't be up so early, especially during summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of the lazy days you were used to, everything around you was a flurry of activity as both your family and Coves prepared for what lay ahead. Because, parked in the street just outside your house was a massive RV camper. Ooh, so big you couldn't even see Cove's house behind it. His parents had rented the RV for a few days to take him on a short road trip to see the Redwood National Park. I have heard of the Redwood National Park. I haven't been there though. He glanced at Cove, who was standing nearby taking in the scene in front of him. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him, but it was only 3 days, so it seemed he was dealing with it as best he could. Especially now that you and your family were joining them. You weren't sure how exactly it had happened. You knew your parents and Coves spoke to each other often, and somewhere along the way plans were made after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents thought it was such a fantastic idea. Okay, I mean, it's fine. I've never been on a road trip like that before. Like, with a huge camper, I don't think so. You had already gotten a good look inside while helping to load everything in, and you had to admit that while it was a really big car, fitting that many people inside was going to be snug.
Let's go.
Move it or lose it, kiddo. Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large bottle of water under the other. She was upbeat for this early in the morning. Oh no, she's still in her sleeping robe. Ma, however, seemed to be on the other side of that wavelength. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. I'm gonna need a whole jug of coffee once we hit the road. Yeah, I could really. I hate waking up early. I actually hate waking up early. You yawned and rubbed at your eyes, still sleepy from the early morning wake-up call. The air outside was still damp from dew, and that helped you make you a bit more alert. See, the early morning is nice if it's cold. Like I've been to some winter countries before when you wake up and the air is cold. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's beautiful. But you know, every day is a hot day for me, so like whether I wake up or not, it's gonna be hot. So I don't want to wake up early. At the end of the chain came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling off critiques added some level of normalcy to everything new going on.
Ugh.
Oh, I don't know. I don't get why I can't sleep in the bed tonight. Sam is the youngest and I'll never fall asleep in that loft. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loft for both nights. It's important for big siblings to make sacrifices for the younger ones. None of that BS. None of that BS. I'm the oldest sibling. None of that BS. I'm not gonna be taking... No. Cursed. No. Please, not that logic. Elizabeth huffed, not happy with that answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. That was on you, Mom. I didn't like that. The trip plans had been nailed down prior, the sleeping arrangements included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. There was a main area of the RV with a couch, loft, and some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed. Kyra was on the couch, and father and son intended to sleep on the floor. The adults determined you and Elizabeth would switch between the small loft above the driver's seat and sharing the beds with moms. Yeah, why does he have to sleep on the floor? Isn't he a kid? Like, give him the loft or something. That's so sad. Right, after all, it was supposed to be a trip for him and his family before yours ended up coming along too. Now he had been kicked out of every bed-like space and put on the floor. Right, that's so sad. There had to be another way to organize things so it was better for him. Let me take some water. Anyways, Cove and I what about sheesh. Yeah, I'm getting unhinged. Cove and I could share the loft when I'm up there. I don't mind making room for him. He took a glance over at Cove. It would be fun to have a little sleepover, just the two of you. I'm not gonna hold back anymore. I'm gonna take all the chances I have. I'm gonna take all the chances I have right now. Yes. The emoji is funny. I'm gonna take all the chances I have, y'all. Oh my god. Yes, let's go. YOLO!
No, no, no.
No, that loft is too tiny for two people, even if those people are teens. The last thing we need is one of you rolling off and crushing poor Cliff beneath you. Just tumble and then you splat. And then that's the end of Cliff. Cliff just gone. Who will take over his driving shifts? The three other parents all laughed at your mom's joke. Cove simply shrugged with a relaxed smile, and you sighed as you were forced to admit defeat. See, it's okay, nothing happened, DDN. I was just shooting my shot, you know. It's okay, there's plenty of time for step 3. Alright, you lot. Does everyone have everything they need? We're heading out in 5 minutes. Now's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important. Why is she... Couldn't she change out? Why is Ma dressed like that? At the word, Elizabeth yelped and dashed back into the house, her bed-head hair bouncing behind her as she went. Ma came over and gave you a smile, setting her hands on her hips. How about you? Why? What about me? Oh, do you have all your clothes packed, toiletries, deodorant, floss, anything else you can think of? I'm not sure. I'm always not sure about whether I brought enough things. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I can't remember what. Ma chuckled, then gave you a squeeze on the shoulder. I get like that on trips too, so I learned to pack extra in case I or anyone else forgets. With the amount of supplies we've stuffed into the RV, I think we'll be okay. It's only a few days after all. Thanks, Ma. With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you had packed for the trip. Clothes, a pillow, a blanket, usual day-to-day gear for most people. You also had more personal things such as Portable game console. That's right. I'm not leaving anywhere without it. That's right. The drive to the Redwood National Park would take an entire day one way, so you wanted to make sure you had a way to entertain yourself while traveling there and back. I also have an MP3 player. Yep, I do that too. With so much time going to be spent driving in the car, you wanted to make sure you'd be able to have some music to put on. That's right, very important for me. I usually bring a sketchbook too. You had to be prepared. You had to be prepared in case you saw something to sketch at the park, or if you had to write anything down, or if you needed to pass the time just doodling. Yeah, I do that too. I have a stuffed animal. Like, I would usually bring small ones on trips. Without fail, it always made you feel more comfortable whenever you went somewhere new. That's right, I do that. It was like taking a little piece of home away with you. Okay, that's all. Hey, let me take that for you, Sam. I'll stow it in the RV. There's a few spots left ill fit. You let Kyra take your bag and gave her a grateful smile. With nothing left to do, you watched the others get ready for the trip. I cannot live without my gaming console. Like, if I'm on a trip or whatever, I need to bring it. Like, I can't not bring it. Like, I will get so upset if I can't, like, if I forgot to bring my 3DS or my, I don't know, Nintendo Switch, depending on like what era it is. Like, I cannot. I'll get so upset, and then I'll just deflate the entire trip if I don't have my DS with me. True story. Okay, Kyra and Cliff seemed to have the most energy of anyone. They were finishing packing the suitcases away while your moms had gone to lock the house. They high-fived whenever another one got crammed into the storage compartments of the vehicle. Even though your own parents were more low-key than Cove's, you could tell they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Elizabeth skipped towards the RV, a bag slung over her shoulder, and you were surprised she seemed more optimistic about the whole ordeal now. Usually, she wasn't one to exit the confines of her room unless it was for TV or food, or to leave her family behind to be with friends. Well, you would have thought 3 whole days packed in an RV with 6 others, 6 people, that's a lot, would be too much for her, but it was a nice surprise. You supposed any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. Cove had been pretty quiet so far, and more than anything, seemed to be overwhelmed, as usual, by the situation. I was curious about the RV. Yeah, I've never really been on an RV. Yeah, I never stayed overnight in one before and wanted to know what it'd be like. Soon the miscellaneous remaining tasks had all been wrapped up. Oh, that's a really big RV. Okay. Everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. And it did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car out of the narrow neighborhood streets. It was touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled at the front, trying to get a view of how much space they had on each side. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of the trip was a hit and the RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cove's dad to it, taking more comfortable seats around the main cabin. That looks fun. You felt like you could finally relax now. Time slipped by as morning faded away. Oh, before you realized it, the engine of the RV came to a stop, but it only halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed out from the driver's seat and Mom took over. Cool. Mom was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial on the controls as it was her first time driving anything this large. Cliff groaned and headed towards the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening up his muscles. We're making Those sunglasses. We're making good progress. Yeah, maybe you should take a nap in the back for a while. That was a long haul you just did, and I know you're on less sleep than usual. Cliff waved a hand, that trademark grin of his slipping into place.
Nah.
I don't need sleep. Haha, same. I still got a few miles in the old tank. He flexed an arm, showing his muscles to, showing off his muscles to drive the point of about how resilient he was home. Okay. And Kara rolled her eyes in amusement. Okay. Dad, everybody has to sleep. Cove shook his head at the tough guy act though. Cliff simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair. His sunglasses don't really complement his face. But it's okay.
So,
Water. Are you going to be driving again anytime soon, Mr. Holden? I want to know so I can prepare. Did anyone pack some rope? I might need it. There's no seat belts up here. Elizabeth called down from where she was lounging in the loft above the driving compartment. There's no like barrier though. I hope there's like a barrier to set up when like you actually sleep, so that you could just roll off and like you could get hurt, you know, if there's no barrier to keep you. She was laying on her back, hair falling over the side and swinging around as the RV started up again and took off down the road. A bag of potato chips was balanced on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held a hand to his chest, pretending to be offended by the remark. Kyra laughed lightheartedly.
Don't worry about that.
Lucky for all of us, we have enough adults, all with driver's license, that's nice, to cover the shifts today. He won't be driving again until tomorrow. I don't have a driver's license. Like, I could take one, but I'm terrified of driving, and I don't want to cause myself any extra stress, so I just don't. Like, I didn't take the license. Like, driving scares me, like it actually scares me. I don't like driving. I'll just stay quiet. I got nothing to say. Yep, you didn't have anything to add to the conversation, but it was pretty funny all the same. Mom then shouted back in her seat to join in the conversation, a playful smile tilting her lips. What I'm more worried about is this old monster getting us there and back again before falling apart. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. It must be older than some of the occupants. That's just the aesthetic of the decor. It's not that old, I think. Oh, I hope we don't get into an accident. I don't have a license, right? I think it's fine at this point. Like, I mean now, honestly, like now with like, you know, Grab, Lyft, all those, you know, car sharing rides and like the usual taxis, you know, buses, bike. I can't cycle. I can't bicycle, but you know, and like the subway and all that. Like, it's fine if you don't drive. Like, driving scares me because other drivers on the road scare me. Yeah, I don't trust other people. Yeah, but like for example, like if it was just like me in a little maybe countryside, you know, and if you ask me like would I want the option to maybe get a motorcycle license, yeah, that makes sense for me, you know, then yeah, sure, I would ride a scooter or something. But nah, car scares me. No. I have a bicycle. Yeah, it's fine, it's fun, you know, you can just cycle, and I think that's nice. But yeah, I don't see the need to get a driver's license. I mean, I guess it's easy and convenient for some situations, but it's fine, it's fine. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kara wrinkled her nose in thought.
Hey!
Yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. Liv chuckled at her while the rest of you let out a collective sigh. I don't see any ladder, but the RV lurched a little as it picked up speed, and you held onto the ladder to the loft to keep your balance. You felt something graze the top of your head before a weight settled on your black hair. When you tilted your chin up carefully to look, you heard the rustling of the bag of chips and realized Elizabeth had rested the end of it on your head. She gestured to the opening silently, offering to share hers. Collective sigh. Collective sigh in your bunch of hats. That's a collective sigh right there. I took a handful. I don't necessarily like chips, but whatever. It's food. Reaching up, you scooped up some chips. After that, the weight of the packet left your scalp. You happily munched away as the conversation continued on and you got closer and closer to your destination. This feels like a long moment, like this story. True, right? You have a lot of hats. The day flew by with the group of you chatting, playing games, and passing the time together before finally arriving. Okay, sorry, I needed to stretch. And arriving at the park and setting up for the night. Ma was closing the windows while everyone got ready for bed, saying goodnight to the others as she made her way to the back room. Oh, okay. You all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after had arrived at your destination and found a spot to park in for the rest of your stay. Oh, okay, so we're literally just like staying put, like stationary. Okay, cool. I've never been to a national park, like, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's like huge. Wait, I had to wipe my glasses. They were kind of foggy. Okay. Okay, giving a look across the front of the RV, you notice almost everyone there was already dozing off where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep curled up in the passenger seat. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg and they had decided not to disturb him. Kyra herself was the only one up there who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to a portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed Mr. Holden needed to sleep despite his claims. You followed your moms into the back room and closed the door behind you before crawling into the bed between them. It was a queen-size bed, so there was enough space for the three of you together without too much squishing. Okay, contrary to popular belief, like what they're saying, a queen-size bed is not that big. You probably had to squeeze. Like with two full-size adults and a teenager, it's probably a squeeze, but I don't know, maybe it's a different size.
Good night.
But yeah, get a good rest, Sam. We got a big day ahead of us tomorrow.
That's fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the bushwalk in the morning. Oh, we're going for a bushwalk. Okay, I've never been on a bushwalk. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this. There'll be plenty of for us to see. You stayed awake a little longer while your moms whispered about the park and forest in general. With the sound of their voices in the background, you eventually nodded off to sleep. The next morning, you were up bright and early, preparing for the day ahead. Okay, here's the thing, right? This is also a true story. I am very sensitive to where I sleep, and I get scared, especially on the first night, if I'm sleeping like maybe in a hotel or anywhere else. I don't sleep well. So usually when I go on like overseas trips or something to another country, the first night in the hotel is always the worst night for me. I practically like don't sleep at all while my body is trying to get used to the new environment. So I had slept terribly. Like, this is true story. Yeah. There hadn't been enough room for you to spread out or readjust your position. The mattress was uncomfortable and it became hot with 2 other people next to you. Ma whined a bit about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom had only encouraged her to enjoy the trip while she could. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding a space of your own as others were doing the same thing. Cove was perched on top of the counter, brushing his hair and tucking up his legs every time someone wanted to move past. The parents were checking, double-checking, and triple-checking that you had everything, to the point where you had stopped listening to them altogether. You knew you wouldn't be returning to the RV at all that day, but by the looks of the backpacks that were packed up and ready to go, you doubted anything was missing from them. Oh, okay. It didn't take long until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into Redwood National Park. Wow. Cove had his head tilted up towards the canopy of trees. His eyes wide as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. Those are some big trees. You knew that the redwood trees here were considered the tallest trees on Earth, okay, but you weren't prepared for exactly how huge they would be in person.
Come on.
Smile, you two. I don't like having my picture taken. You spun just in time for Kara to snap a picture of you and Cove together before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite his weak protest that she should just enjoy the moment. Your parents were walking behind the group a little, with Mom telling Ma some information she had read about the park in a brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights, every now and then asking a question or making a joke about something Mom had said. Ma is a very awkward word to say. Like, I honestly prefer mommy. Like, Ma is a bit like it's too short. You smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know so much about the park. Maybe you should come and work here as a tour guide if you know so much about the place. Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that might just be because she was amused by everyone else's reactions. Yeah, honestly, I'm just like, ooh, tree. Surrounding you on either side, the enormous trees shot up into the sky, the sunlight peeking through their canopy and speckling the path in front of you. The sheer size of the redwoods made you feel like a tiny ant bustling along through the forest. The adults had decided on some casual nature walks rather than any serious hiking, and you strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Elizabeth sped up a little, smirking at Cove as she fell into place between the two of you, and immediately you could tell by her expression she was gonna say something taunting. Oh, here she goes again. I'm more like amused at Elizabeth's fashion taste. Like, her jeans are bright yellow, which is cute. It's a look. It's just amusing that she would dress so, I don't know, sunny. I can't believe our families are actually on vacation together. She threw her arms out, speaking with a genuine sense of bewilderment. I would have joked about something like this happening, but now I'm not sure I want to give them any more ideas. Cove smiled at her, even if it was a little awkwardly, and continued walking along. Just watch, next year they'll be talking about their next new amazing ideas. She put on a fake voice deeper than her own. Oh no, we should just sell both of our houses and move in together. Think about how much we'd save on the mortgage. It was clear that Elizabeth was being sarcastic. Cove simply shook his head, not really bothered by her. You suppose he was used to this by this point. But seriously, they really do act like we're a single family just because we live across the street from one another, or from each other. Oh, she's gonna say something, isn't she? Elizabeth gave you and Cove a look, her eyes glinting with mischief as she leered at you.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll be related, legally anyway. She said it as though she was a gossipy old lady. Oh, nice. Nice one. That's right. Get back at her. Maybe. I guess you and me could get married, Elizabeth.
What?
What? Me? That's right. You go, Cove. Beat her. Yeah, that way Sam would be my sister-in-law. That would be fun. Elizabeth stuck her tongue out at Cove as if the very idea were ridiculous. They're testing me, aren't they? I don't know. Like, I wouldn't just say I'll marry. That's so awkward. Like, time to save. Man, time to save. Okay. Okay, I mean, honestly, we're on joking terms and we have known each other for a pretty long time, so I guess we'll just joke about it, and then in the future when we actually do get married, we're like, aha, remember that joke I said last time? Yeah, okay, YOLO. We must unite our family ties to increase our pull in the community. That's right, that's right. This is just stonks. A political marriage? It might be alright with you. Then it's an agreement. They're gonna regret this in the future.
Sure.
Okay. Elizabeth poked her tongue out at the both of you, giving you a sour look. She walked ahead, obviously not getting the responses she was looking for, and you and Cove swapped amused looks. The day continued on with plenty to see and experience. You passed a few different activities that you would have liked to try out if you had the time, such as kayaking and rock climbing, but Ma said that would have to wait for another trip. There was a little stream during the walk that you sat beside and set out a picnic for lunch, nibbling on a selection of fruits, sandwiches, and chips. Various birds flew by overhead, and you made a game out of guessing the species that were hanging out in the trees nearby. You even managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half of Cliff's sandwich. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's a nice experience. It was definitely a special experience, and one you'd remember for a long time to come. You smiled to yourself, committing the sights and sounds to memory. Your group made it back to camp just as the sun was setting in the sky and the stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You traded stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner, then afterwards you pitched in to help clean up. You, along with Elizabeth and Cove, got to head back to the RV early and spend some time together while the parents stayed outside longer. Yeah, it was nice to have the space to yourself after the cramped journey there, and while Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area. You hung out with Cove. We might as well get comfortable, who knows how long they'll be out for. Oh, what is he wearing? What? What is he wearing? Okay. You took a seat on the sofa while Cove sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. What is that? A suit? A tracksuit? Oh, it's a jacket. You know, I hardly ever see you wear a jacket, especially in summer.
Yeah.
I'm not judging the color, it's more like the fit. The cutting is a bit weird, but okay. Oh yeah, I like wearing as few layers as possible. It's easier that way. I'd rather be cold than extra hot, and it's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket. I'm the same way. I hate wearing layers. It's too hot. They're bulky and heavy, and they usually make me feel too warm. That's right. Cove smiled lightly at you and nodded. This cutting is weird. I don't know what to feel about it. I've noticed. You asked him what he liked to see the others wear. You changed the subject. I don't... Why would I ask him? Why would I ask him what he liked to see others wear? I think I'll just change the subject. That conversation had run its course. I know that color scheme related to future Psy model. Oh, this is the classic complementary color scheme. That green and, you know, pink red kind of thing. Okay, instead you asked Cove about what else he would have liked to do in the park if he had more time here. The two of you ended up chatting about various outdoor activities available: kayaking, rock climbing, hiking, horseback riding, wildlife walks. There were so many things to potentially choose from. You had made an agreement if one of you had ever had the chance to come back, you'd bring the other two. That way you could try it all together again. Aww. Okay, the parents all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some place to sit down and rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out from the room for the first time since arriving and joined you all. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within the blink of an eye as the group hunkered down for the night. Your mom did a final round to be sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning, like on the first day, but would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. See ya, Sen. I'm off. Thank you for coming. Mildly whelmed. I hope you had fun. See you again next time. Bye-bye. Now is the time to check you hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had it all packed up inside the RV, which meant it was time to get some rest before the journey home tomorrow. Wow, this is taking so long. I mean, I love it, content-filled, but I want to get on to step 3. Your moms and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading to the back room while you climbed up to the loft. Cove and his family got situated below in the previously set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. Why? What am I thinking? Oh, it was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed at home. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was short, that was for sure, but you got to see and do so much during your time here. All in all, it was a nice break away from home. The minutes ticked by silently. It didn't take long for the soft snores of Cliff and Kyra to drift up to you. They were asleep now. You wondered if Cove was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you notice Cove laying on his back, his eyes staring straight up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. Oh no, they're sleeping in a sleeping bag. I thought that would be like a mattress or something they could put on the floor. He must have felt you watching him, because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out the crooked smile on his face well enough. You grinned back at him. You made a silly face. I don't think he can see, and I'm not the kind of person that would make a silly face. I'll just smile at him. Cove shrugged in his bed while still smiling, or at least you thought he did. You then gestured for him to come over. You then decided to have fun quietly. Like what? Play my game? That's me though. I would like play my game. But YOLO! We just keep saving. We're gonna use like all 20 of these by the end of like this story. Cove looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him slowly start to sit up anyway. His sleeping bag rustled as he moved, though he tried to go slow and froze up like a deer in the headlights every time he made a sound, watching his parents for any sign of movement. Eventually, he managed to maneuver around his sleeping dad and make it to the ladder, standing on the bottom rung where he looked up at you and whispered, "What?" Let's just hang on. Let's just hang around, you know. Let's just hang out. Come to the loft, you know. Let's chill. I noticed that the loft has like 3 windows, which is very cute. Do you want to come up? His eyes widened just so. You could only tell because he had come to where you were. Cove glanced behind him quickly at his sleeping parents before turning back to you. Okay, yay! Yay! He broke out into a grin and scooched back as far as he could, making space for Cove to crawl in. He was very tall. How tall is he? So it wasn't a great fit for him, but he managed to squeeze himself in. Luckily, you were short enough to leave him with some room. How short am I? How tall is he? Oh, Jeebus Bryce! Oh, Jeebus Bryce! Man. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Sheesh. Whoa. Oh my god. Yo. Yo. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing? Oh, thank you for the redeem. Okay, I'ma hydrate now. Thank you for the redeem. Okay, calm down, calm down. Thirsty. Yes, calm down. Okay, gotta calm down. That's the first time I've yelled on stream before, like yelled there loudly on stream before. But thankfully, for the noise compressor, you can't hear the sheer volume of me. Oh my god. You laid down next to each other on your sides, face to face. He got under the blanket a bit. One of his arms was nestled under his head for comfort. The other had nowhere to go and was rested alongside his chest. On the floor of the loft, Cove spoke to you softly. So, what am I doing here? I don't know. I didn't expect you to like settle down beside me, bro. I'm like... I thought we could hang out. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could hang out. Cove's eyebrows dipped. He probably thought you had something more important than that going on. No, my head empty. It isn't a big deal for us to both be in the loft, right? Yeah, it's not some huge thing. We've shared a million times by now. We have? Okay. And usually they're the ones encouraging us. Cove gestured in the direction of the parents and you nodded in agreement. They had always tried to put you and Cove together ever since you were little. I wonder how much trouble we'll be in if we get caught. Aww. It wouldn't be nearly as much as we would have been if my moms found out you snuck into my room for the night at the start of summer. He winced just imagining it. I still can't believe I did that and didn't get caught. It was a very dramatic morning. You could easily picture his frantic escape in your mind's eye. You're kind of a troublemaker, aren't you, Cove?
I mean,
No, I don't think so. I think he is. He's like a wreck. An angsty teen. Cove trailed off, and he seemed to be lost in his own thoughts. Well, maybe sometimes. Cove smiled fondly at you, and you grinned triumphantly. You spent the rest of the night smooshed up in the little loft together, whispering about your past memories and trying not to giggle too loud at the silly things you had gotten up to together over the years. Eventually, the chatting trailed off, and when you noticed Cove had drifted off to sleep, you followed soon after. When you woke up in the morning, it was to the rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. You quickly noticed that you weren't as warm as you had been during the night, and when you checked next to you, Cove was gone. He did a skirt, he did an escape. Blinking sleepily, you peeked over the edge of the loft to find out where he had gone. Maybe he had snuck back to his spot on the floor during the night. However, you still noticed him sitting on the couch talking quietly with his mom, his head hung in embarrassment. Oh no. Your movement gave you away, and Kyra suddenly looked up and caught your eye. Oh, she simply smiled amused at you, and it was obvious what happened. Cove hadn't gotten away with it. They found him there in the loft, and then you woke up while he was trying to explain. Oh no. You knew it was gonna be a long, long time before you lived this one down, if you ever did. Soon, your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their room dressed and ready for the day of travel. You spent most of the day hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of the vacation. Kyra suggested a few different travel games she used to play with Cove when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. A little later in the day, you tried to talk to Cove about what happened in the loft, but he simply apologized and changed the subject. It was a bit too much for him to try speaking on, especially right now. You understood. When the RV finally pulled onto your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after the last few days away. Everyone else must have been feeling the same because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait until morning. Ah, see, I don't know why my room looks like that, but it kind of matches me. It looks a little ratchet, but I'm glad they have the monitor and all that, because that's accurate. Once home again, you went straight up to your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all. Ay, stop! Why is it so why is it so direct? Why is it so direct? It's kind of weird. I think if after being with so many people and suddenly you're alone, it does feel weird to be alone. Yeah, you've gotten so used to having all the others around you all the time, as well as the rumble of the RV, that it felt oddly quiet by being by yourself. That's right. Okay, with those last few thoughts drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. Oh my god, we're done! Oh my god, we're done! Wow, this took like 3.5 hours! Okay. Okay, give probably okay. We'll just do this and we'll just set everything. Oh, okay. There was no customization. Okay, we'll speed through because I'm pretty sure we'll get through a customization page. Okay, so there was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow you were heading to class. Okay, we'll get to the that part, like the the customization page, and then we'll end it for today. Anxiety gnawed at your stomach. I hate going to class. I really do. Got a phone. Going back to school meant handing over the anatomy you had over the past weeks. You have very little control over what you did at school or who you shared a class with. Oh, I gotta go sleep. Can't stick around for any longer. No problem. You have work tomorrow, right? Go to sleep, man. Thanks for coming to hang out. It was with a heavy heart. Thanks for stream. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming to hang. On Friday, I'll probably do Genshin. Because it's been a while since we've done Genshin, so probably we'll do Genshin on Friday. Yeah. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Thanks for coming. Okay, life was going to be different. You had come to think of the summer vacation as the norm, but school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just a respite in the middle. So rather than it being difficult, it was kind of a return to the normal? What did your normal life really mean? You considered how fondly, this is so long, your moms talked about their summer vacations as kids. You dimly recognized that one year, the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. You gotten distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back to the present. Okay, season. How long is this? Oh god, wait, so long. Wait, it's so long. Oh no, but I need to eat dinner. My mom's gonna be mad at me if I don't come out for dinner. Okay, it's just interesting to be around you, like how easy it was to talk to her. Okay, you finished dressing. Oh, okay, Cove would be there any moment you agreed to see his mom off together. Officially, the plan was he would come over to bring you around his house when she was ready to set off, but you both knew that you'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Hara's visit had troubled Cove when it first happened. It had been a sudden change thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people, but once he was able to adjust, he'd been in pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief for everyone. The next thought that crossed your mind was, I need to go to dinner. Okay, no, I can't. My mom's gonna get mad at me, so I will save our adventure here. And we'll end it for today because I'm gonna get my ass whooped if I don't go down for dinner. So we shall end it here for today. Okay, now let's end it for today. It was way too long, but it was good though. A lot of content, but it's way too long and I can't finish it. So yeah, but thank you so much for coming and hanging out, and I hope you enjoyed it. So on Friday we're gonna do Genshin to quickly catch up on the rest of the events and stuff we were missing out. And after the Genshin events are over, we will be quickly coming back to our life. So thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a good night and good day. Okay, I'm gonna mute the game. Okay, and see you on Friday. Bye bye.